Chapter 139. He Xiangu was speechless as she refused. Chase your big head ghost, Chase. Yu Lao, this old man, really never deviated from his old profession. The first thing he asked was whether they should chase after him. Did Yi Zichen dare to chase after her? If he did, wouldn't Han Xiangzi beat him to death? They were the 8 immortals, while he was just a mortal. I'm not trying to woo a mortal lady, I just want to ask for something from her. Please introduce me to her. That's fine. Yi Zichen was speechless once again when he saw the message. What's going on? I can't even pursue her if I really want to? Immortal Sovereign, please wait a moment. It seems like Yu Lao went to find Immortal Lady Yi Zichen put down his phone and stretched lazily. Zhuge Kongming was a very strange child. He did not have the bad habits that children of his age should have. He was very quiet and obedient. If Yi Zichen didn't look for him, he would just sit quietly at the entrance and look up at the sky. No one knew what he was thinking. Kongming, it must be boring to stay in the supermarket every day. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and asked. Zhuge Kongming turned around, causing his face to instantly frown and blink as if he was about to cry. Big brother Zichen, are you chasing me away? I do have such an idea. However, when he saw the child's pitiful appearance, he couldn't help but sigh. If I chase you away, where will you go? I just wanted to ask if you're bored. If you're bored, I'll bring you a laptop next time so you can play games when you're free. Really? That's great. Zhuge Kongming's eyes lit up. It would be best if Zichenji can buy a computer for me. Not bad at all. He didn't even decline. All right, I'll bring it to you next time. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled, while Zhuge Kongming also nodded with a smile. By the way, tell me about your family and your engagement partner. Don't mention it. Zhuge Kongming curled his lips and said, There's nothing much to say about my family. I can be considered a small wealthy businessman. As for the engagement partner, what's wrong with the engagement partner? I heard that the girl is a few years older than me, but I've never seen her before. I don't even remember her name. I think she was called Xia something. Zhuge Kongming frowned and thought for a long time. It seemed like he couldn't think of anything, so he simply waved his hand and said, Forget it, it's not important anyway. I've seen her photos. She's pretty but not my type. Yi Zichen didn't doubt her looks at all. The children of those big families were all very good-looking, especially the girls. Even if the innate conditions were not good, it could be grafted. Nowadays, technology is so advanced that even an alien hospital can satisfy you. Little brat, what type do you even know? In any case, I don't like it. Zhuge Kongming frowned. At that moment, Yi Zichen's phone on the table rang again. Picking up his phone, he signaled Zhuge Kongming to go play on the side before opening the WeChat interface. The first thing he did was to see if anyone had added him, but he didn't see He Xiangu among his new friends. Immortal Sovereign. Immortal Venerable? Immortal Venerable? Where's Immortal Lady He? Yu Lao was too indecisive. He Xiangu didn't even look for him. Immortal Supremacy, I went to look for Immortal Lady He just now. What happened to her? Forget it, I'll send you a screenshot. Ding dong. Yu Lao sent over a screenshot of the chat. Yi Zichen took a glance. Yu Lao, Xiao He. Goddess He, I'm here. Yu Lao, how have you been recently? He Xiangu, it's pretty good, just a little boring. Yu Lao, if you're bored then talk more in the group. Didn't you enter our Heavenly Courts group? He Xiangu, yes, the group is quite lively. Yu Lao, right? Let's chat when we have nothing to do to improve our relationship. By the way, you saw Immortal Venerable Nameless when you entered the group, right? He Xiangu, is it that idealism? Yu Lao, yes, it's him. He Xiangu, I saw it. Yu Lao, that celestial sovereign is an expert. He lives with Tai Bai jinxing. He Xiangu, really? That's pretty awesome. Yu Lao, that celestial lord wants to get to know you. That was the end of the chat. After that, Immortal Venerable, he did not reply. Yi Zichen looked at it for a long time. To be honest, he didn't feel like there was anything wrong with it. Yu Lao did lay the groundwork pretty well, and told Immortal Venerable he about his status. Yi Zichen did not feel any disgust from Immortal Venerable he's words. Why didn't she say anything? At the same time, at the 8 Immortal Manor, Han Xiangzi clenched his teeth hatefully as he looked at Yi Zichen's profile picture in the group. Iron Crutchley and Han Zhongli, who were playing chess, looked at him. What happened? That expression. That brat that ascended wants to hit on Immortal Venerable he. How did you know? Iron Crutchley was stunned. Han Xiangzi raised the phone in his hand. Just now, I used Immortal Venerable he's phone to chat with Yu Lao for a while. Yu Lao directly said that Celestial Sovereign Nameless wants to get to know Immortal Venerable he. Think about it, Yu Lao said it himself, if it isn't to hit on her, then what is it? Old Han, that's not very nice. Touching Immortal Venerable he's phone isn't too good, right? Han Zhongli frowned. We brothers know that you are interested in Immortal Venerable he, but didn't we break it off before we ascended? The two of you are fated to not be fated, so why? Then I'm not happy either. Han Xiangzi's eyes were filled with annoyance. At that moment, Immortal Venerable he walked in with a basket. Han Xiangzi quickly deleted his chat history with Yu Lao, then placed the phone back to its original position. Iron Crutchley and Han Zhongli couldn't help but shake their heads when they saw it, then continued to play chess. It was as if nothing had happened. Celestial Sovereign, I've pretty much said what I should, but it seems like Immortal Venerable he's intentions. Yu Lao wanted to say something, but he stopped. How could Yi Zichen not know what he wanted to say? F***ck. Isn't Immortal Venerable he a bit too narcissistic? She really thinks that he wants to hit on her. Never mind, don't bother with Immortal Venerable he. Didn't you want to stock up? I'll give you a 10% discount. Yu Lao, who was in the Heavenly Court, was delighted. Being able to get a 10% discount even though he didn't succeed was a huge advantage for him. Ding dong. Your intimacy level with Yu Lao increased by 100. Current intimacy level, 330. Thank you so much, Celestial Sovereign. You're welcome. Yi Zichen smiled, then flipped to the list that Yu Lao sent over, then walked towards the basement. Zhuge Kongming, who had been looking at the sky from the entrance, frowned, then turned towards Blackie, who was floating in midair. Go over and take a look. That's not too good, right? Blackie hesitated. No matter what, Yi Zichen was his boss. If you're not going, then I won't help you nourish your soul anymore. Zhuge Kongming put his hands behind his back, causing Blackie to instantly lose his temper. After being nourished by Zhuge Kongming recently, his soul became a lot more condensed. He already tasted the sweetness, so he couldn't just let it go like that. Alright, then I'll go over and take a look, but if Boss Yi. Chapter 140. The identity of Zhuge Kongming. Yi Zichen checked the goods according to Yu Lao's list, then scanned and sent it over. Ding dong. Ding dong. Not long after, a bunch of red packets appeared on Yu Lao's chat screen. After Yi Zichen distributed the goods, he stretched lazily and prepared to collect his cultivation experience. Dahe, why are you here? When Blackie saw Yi Zichen, he didn't show any special changes. Humans and ghosts were different, and Blackie was his lackey, so he wasn't afraid of the secret being leaked. Come and take a look. Let's see. Yi Zichen nodded. At that moment, Yu Lao sent a message after collecting all the goods. Sky Sovereign, how much cultivation? About 100,000. I don't want to calculate it in detail, so I'll give you 90,000 for a 10% discount. Alright. Ding dong. You have received Yu Lao's red packet. Cultivation experience X 90,000. Ding dong. Immortal profession promoted. Current rank 5 Immortal Official. Immortal Plate. Nameless Tianzuan Cultivation Experience 91612, Total Cultivation Experience 102500, Level 5 Immortal Official. The Immortal Official had advanced again. But what was the use of this? Of course, it was still far from enough to exchange for those secret manuals in the treasure shop. But if he was lucky enough to spin the wheel, ding-dong. You have received 1 heavenly dog biscuit. Ding-dong. You have obtained heavenly court cabbage X1. Ding-dong. You have obtained 1 fertile soil of the heavenly court. Yi Zichen was truly about to cough up blood. He only got something worth 100 cultivation experience 3 times. It was like opening a treasure chest in a game, blood loss. After Yi Zichen calmed his bleeding heart, he looked at the celestial tablet with a frown. F***ck, just now he had 90,000 cultivation experience, and now he was only left with 60,000. Immortal Sovereign, let's talk next time. Yu Lao wanted to run after getting the goods, but Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and quickly stopped him. Wait a minute. Yu Lao, who was preparing to sell his goods in the Immortal Palace, paused for a moment and asked suspiciously. Immortal Venerable, do you have any other instructions? How's old Lord Taishang doing? After deleting old Lord Taishang from his friend list, the two of them never contacted each other. When he deleted it, he was acting on impulse. He felt that his business in the heavenly court would definitely be booming. Furthermore, he had learned old Lord Taishang's unique medical skills. He probably wouldn't need to use his pills anymore. Who would have thought that old Lord Taishang's 3-stripe soul-cleansing heavenly returning pill was needed to revive Lu Qing? More importantly, this was an immortal-grade pill. Thus, Yi Zichen decided to test Yu Lao and see if he could get the pill from old Lord Taishang. Old Lord, the old Taoists who refine pills are all stubborn. I've also talked to him. I told him to give in to the celestial supremacy, but he refused. He even said that he wouldn't cross paths with the celestial supremacy in the future. As a matter of fact, nearly half of the goods I've brought in are from him. Ouch. The situation didn't look good. Yi Zichen scratched his head, then sent a message in annoyance. Then, Yu Lao, do you know where I can buy the 3-stripe clear spirit heaven returning pill? 3-stripe spirit clearing reverting elixir. Yu Lao couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the name of the pill. This was a celestial-grade pill. Apart from old Lord Taishang in the heavenly court, who else would have it? Only old Lord Taishang can take it out. However, the 3-stripe clear spirit heaven returning pill is a celestial-grade pill. Even an old man, the path of revival was filled with hurdles. From what Yu Lao said, even old Lord Taishang would definitely be able to take it out. If even old Lord Taishang, one of the 3 pure ones, couldn't take it out, then this pill worry. How about this, Yu Lao, help me ask old Lord Taishang. I really need this pill recently. That's no problem. Alright, then let's do that. Find me when you need to stock up. Yi Zichen never thought that revival would be easy, but he didn't think that it would be so difficult. Yi Zichen scratched his head in annoyance. When he looked up, he saw that Blackie was completely stunned. Don't you feel that it's very magical? I feel that it's rather magical too. Yi Zichen pursed his lips with a smile. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. What do you think about Zhuge Kongming at the supermarket recently? Pretty good, he's very obedient. I also think that this child is rather obedient. It's just that it's not good to always stay here. Yi Zichen did not suspect that Blackie was actually Zhuge Kongming's man at all, as he continued to sigh. I have a lot of secrets on me. If he always stays here, I'll be exposed sooner or later. Never mind, just stay here and protect Kongming, understand? Understood. Blackie immediately nodded. Yi Zichen waved his hand towards him. Alright, go up? Yi Zichen immediately nodded. Yi Zichen sat with Zhuge Kongming for a while longer. When it was almost night, Yi Zichen patted Zhuge Kongming's shoulders a few times, then gave Blackie a look before leaving the supermarket. The moment the supermarket door closed, Zhuge Kongming raised his eyebrows with a smile. What exactly is Zichengij's secret? You should have seen it, right? Hurry up and tell me. From the looks of it, He didn't have any bad intentions, it was as if he was purely curious about that secret. Boss, Blackie still hesitated. He was an iron-blooded soldier when he was alive. He had never done such a two-faced thing before. I definitely won't tell anyone, nor will I cause trouble for Zichengij. I'm just curious, just tell me. If you don't tell me, then I won't help you nourish your soul anymore. Zhuge Kongming truly grasped his weakness. Blackie clenched his teeth after a moment of hesitation. Actually, boss, and Blackie did speak. His lips could be heard moving from outside, but no sound came out at all. Ghost controlling sigil. Zhuge Kongming frowned, then reached out towards Blackie. Not long later, a sigil appeared in his hand. Say it now. Blackie told him everything he saw underground in detail. Zhuge Kongming couldn't help but smile when he heard it. I knew Zichengij is someone on our side. I didn't think that he would actually be able to contact someone from the heavenly court. He should be someone from one of the 9 great families, but Zhuge Kongming frowned and looked at the ghost-controlling sigil in his hand. This thing should be the treasure of the underworld's ghost servants. Why did the people from the hidden families put such a precious sigil on you? Not long later, Zhuge Kongming was stunned. Wait, this ghost-controlling sigil cannot betray its owner. You wanted to reveal Zichengij's secret just now. Zichengij put this sigil on you? Yes. Why didn't you say so earlier? A hint of panic surfaced on Zhuge Kongming's face. If the sigil was taken off, why am I so stupid? Zhuge Kongming hit his head. Yi Zichen brought this ghost over, so he naturally put the sigil on. Why didn't I think of that when I took it off? At the same time, Yi Zichen, who was about to take a taxi back to school, suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Lu Jing, who floated beside Yi Zichen, immediately shouted in shock when she saw this. Chapter 141. Do me a favor. He opened his eyes. What greeted his eyes was a vast expanse of white. The pain in his chest had long since disappeared. Recalling the scene at that time, why did I vomit blood? Are you awake? A soft chuckle sounded out beside Yi Zichen's ear. He turned his head and saw Lin Xie, who was still in her police uniform, sitting beside his bed and looking at him with a smile. Why are you here? Yi Zichen sat up from the bed and looked at her in confusion. In his memory, he vomited blood and his vision went black. You touched me? What do you think? Lin Xie's beautiful eyes carried a trace of concealment as she said, If I hadn't run into you, you might have been eaten by that wild dog. This woman's mouth is so venomous. Why didn't I notice it before? After chatting for a while, Yi Zichen suddenly thought of something. Is Lu Chang still in your hands? No, he has been handed over to the judicial department. If nothing unexpected happens, Lin Xie didn't finish her sentence, but Yi Zichen knew very well that he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. That Zhao Ziming. He knew that Zhao Ziming was Lin Xie's boyfriend, but he felt like that kind of man wasn't a good choice. I think you should break up with him as soon as possible. Who will she be with after the breakup? You? You can follow me too. Yi Zichen smiled, then raised his arm to reveal his bicep. Actually, I'm pretty capable. Be serious. Lin Xie rolled her eyes at him and sighed lightly. My relationship with Zhao Ziming isn't as simple as you think. Breaking up is out of the question. As soon as she finished speaking, she lifted her wrist to look at the time and smiled. I asked the hospital to examine you just now, but they didn't find anything. I'm not your relative, so I won't spend the night with you. Why does this sound so awkward? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then revealed a playful smile. I don't think it needs to be a family member to spend the night. Then why you? Lin Xie's face went red, and her eyes were filled with anger as she scolded. You! Go. Die. All right. Lin Xie grabbed the pillow on the bed and threw it at Yi Zichen's head, then bounced out of the ward. This little policewoman. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile and look at the time. 2 o'clock in the morning. That female police officer has been taking care of you here, Lu Jing, who sat on the other side of Yi Zichen, said softly. You have to find time to thank her. Got it. Yi Zichen's heart was filled with confusion as he rubbed Lu Jing's head. Why did he suddenly feel a sharp pain in his chest and vomit blood? Could it be that he had a hidden illness? But he hadn't had any illness since he was young. Lin Xie also said that she couldn't find anything just now. Yi Zichen couldn't figure it out after thinking for a long time, so he licked his lips and jumped off the bed. Where are you going? Go home. Do you want me to stay in the hospital? I can't stand this place. With that, Yi Zichen bent over and ran outside. Little friend Yi, you're awake? Just as Yi Zichen ran to the elevator, an old man walked out from the corner of the corridor. Zheng Cheng. Yi Zichen was a bit speechless when he saw the old man. He's clearly a specialist. Why is he still guarding the hospital in the middle of the night? Where are you going? Zheng Cheng glanced at him. Yi Zichen frowned. I can't tell. Of course I'm going home. Then did you do the discharge procedures? Who did the hospitalization procedures for me? The two of them looked at each other in silence for a while. Then Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. All right, Officer Lin did it for me, right? How about this? You see, I've helped you solve several problems. You can help me with the discharge procedures. I'm completely fine. Zheng Cheng remained silent. What? You're still not willing? Yi Zichen put his hands on his waist and said like an elder. I helped you solve 2 medical accidents. It can be said that I'm your benefactor. You should feel honored to help your benefactor do something. Zheng Cheng continued to remain silent. This atmosphere caused Yi Zichen to feel a bit awkward. He scratched his head and patted Zheng Cheng's shoulders. Comrade Zheng Cheng, just treat it as doing me a favor. Then can you do me a favor as well? Zheng Cheng, who had remained silent, suddenly spoke up. What do you want me to help with? It's fine if you want me to come to this hospital to be a doctor. That's not where my ambition lies. I don't need you to come here to be a doctor. I have a friend who will come to Bingqing recently. I want you to take a look at him. Take a look at him? Yi Zichen pointed at his nose in disbelief. You, such a great old senior of the medical world, are here. Why do you need a brat like me? Your attainments in Chinese medicine are so much better than some old guys. Lad, don't underestimate yourself. Who's underestimating myself? I just don't want to help, all right? Yi Zichen twitched his mouth silently. At this moment, Zheng Cheng spoke up once again. I have no choice but to let you take a look. Just treat it as giving this old man face. How about it? Fine, I admit defeat. I'll take a look if you say so, but don't blame me if I don't do well. I'll be eternally grateful if you can help. Hearing that, Yi Zichen made an okay gesture and waved his hand. No problem, just find me when the time comes. If you can't find me, then you can find Huang Xingmei. I heard that you have an empty attending physician position. She has a pretty good relationship with me, pretty good. Oh yeah, I'll have to trouble you with the discharge procedures. Remember that Huang Xingmei has a pretty good relationship with me. After repeatedly emphasizing Huang Xingmei's name, Zheng Cheng shook his head helplessly. The attending physician position was hers in the first place. Even if he didn't say it, it would still be hers. However, since he said it like that, then I might as well go with the flow and do him a favor. Yi Zichen tiptoed into the house. The moment he entered the house, Lil White immediately ran over with its glowing green eyes. Boss, you're injured? Yi Zichen turned on the mansion's lights. Hearing Lil White's words caused him to be stunned. How did you know? I can tell. With that, Lil White's scanning eyes lit up once again. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. It seems like the scanning eyes aren't completely useless. I need to slowly develop them. However, even if I can tell what's the point of being injured, I can't treat it. Thinking that, Yi Zichen raised his hand and smacked Lil White's head again. Boss, why did you hit me again? My hands are itchy. Fine, you're the boss, you're amazing. Yi Zichen laughed when he saw Lil White's wronged look. It's pretty good to have such a little thing at home. Ding dong. Just as he laughed with Lil White, the phone in his pocket vibrated. No one sent a message, but his new friend showed one. Chapter 142. Tearing Han Xiangzi apart after breakfast, Yi Zichen helped Yi Rong clear the table as he smiled. Mom, I'll cook for you when I have time. You? Mother Yi revealed a look of disdain. You said that before, but what happened then? Hearing that, Yi Zichen immediately revealed a hint of awkwardness. When he was cooking back then, he nearly burned the house down. But it was different this time. He had the God of Food's notes. How long ago was that? If you don't believe me, then I'll show you when I have time. I'm definitely not worse than the star chefs of restaurants. Never mind. Mother Yi clearly treated Yi Zichen's words as a joke. In the living room, Tian had already finished carrying her little backpack. Yi Rong wiped her hands and pointed at the utensils in the sink. You wash the rest, I'll send Tian to school. All right. Bye, Daddy. Lil Tian waved sweetly towards him with her little backpack. After Yi Zichen watched Mother Yi and Tian leave the mansion, he quickly finished washing the utensils in the sink, then sat on the sofa in the living room. He habitually opened his phone to see if anyone sent him red packets in the group, and what the deities had been talking about recently. However, the moment he opened WeChat, he saw a red one appear on the contact list. Han Xiangzi has sent a friend request. Han Xiangzi of the 8 Immortals. Why did he add him? Could Immortal Lady he have told Han Xiangzi because she really thought that he wanted to hit on her? Then I can't add him. Something bad will happen if I do. At that moment, at the 8 Immortals Manor, Han Xiangzi stared at the WeChat interface on his phone with red eyes. Lu Dongbin had already finished his sword technique, but when he saw that Han Xiangzi was still staring, he couldn't help but walk over and pat Han Xiangzi's shoulders. Old Han, you've been staring here for several hours already. I have to confront that brat right after he agrees. Han Xiangzi breathed heavily. Han Xiangzi breathed heavily. Immortal Lady, he was someone in his heart, yet Sky's sovereign Nameless actually wanted to steal her away. How could he tolerate it? Even if he could tolerate it, he couldn't tolerate it. There's no need for that in Immortal Lady's heart. Lu Dongbin wanted to say something but hesitated. The 8 Immortals had been immortals for so long, they knew each other very well. Immortal Lady, he and Han Xiangzi did have an ambiguous relationship when they were in the mortal world, but after they became immortals, everyone knew that it was impossible for them. Even so, I still want to confront him, Han Xiangzi replied stubbornly. Lu Dongbin shook his head. He didn't know how to comfort her in this situation. Lan Saiha also walked over at this time and said, Then does Fairy Nun know? Han Xiangzi paused and shook his head. Lu Dongbin and Lan Saiha both sighed lightly, and Iron Crutchley came over with a big wine gourd. That newly ascended great immortal hasn't added you? No. Han Xiangzi shook his head. Iron Crutchley raised his eyebrows. Then I'll add him. Old Li, Lu Dongbin frowned. The 8 Immortals had a very high status in the Heavenly Court. It was one thing for Han Xiangzi to mess around, but why did the steadiest Iron Crutchley join in as well? Since old Han is like this, he definitely won't be happy if he doesn't add him. Let's just have a chat. Even if that great immortal is really unhappy, we can just apologize to him. With that, Iron Crutchley clicked on Yi Zichen's profile picture in the WeChat group and sent a friend request. There wasn't any new news in the Heavenly Courts group, it was just the usual banter. Yi Zichen scrolled through his moments. Yu Lao, the agent, was definitely very responsible. He sent a message every 5 minutes, which wiped out all of the WeChat merchants in his moments. Ding dong. Yi Zichen's phone suddenly vibrated, causing him to exit his moments. Another one appeared in his contact list. Iron Crutchley sent a friend request. Yi Zichen was a bit speechless as he looked at the friend request. Are the 8 Immortals not done yet? Are they bullying him just because they have more people? What a joke! I, Yizichin, am a reputable person in the circles of the heavenly court. I can't let you guys bully me like this, right? And if something happens, find Erlang Shen. Hey, he added me. Iron Crutchley, who held the wine gourd, smiled. Han Xiangzi snatched the phone over. I'm Han Xiangzi. Yizichin rolled his eyes in annoyance when he saw the message. How could Laozi not know that you're Han Xiangzi? Yizichin glanced at the intimacy level. Friendly. That's right, Iron Crutchley might be friendly, but Han Xiangzi should be cold. I can't be nice to you if you're cold to me. What is it? Look at how cocky this brat is. Isn't he just a newly advanced celestial sovereign? He actually dares to speak like that to us, the 8 immortals. They're not taking the 8 immortals seriously at all. Han Xiangzi glared angrily, but the people around him ignored him as they did what they were supposed to be doing. Fine, you guys truly are my good brothers. Han Xiangzi glared at them hatefully, then sent another message. Do you know why I'm looking for you? How would I know why you're looking for this sovereign? This sovereign is very busy. Hurry up and say what you want. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. If it wasn't because the phone was Iron Crutchley's, Han Xiangzi might have directly smashed it. Brat, I don't care about your status as a newly advanced celestial sovereign. Don't forget, we're the 8 immortals. 8 immortals, what happened? When we became immortals, you were still waiting in that hole. So what? This sovereign is a celestial sovereign who lives with Tai by jinxing right now. Do you 8 immortals have temporary residences in the heavenly court? Buzz, at that moment, Huang Yi suddenly called. Yi Zichen conveniently placed the phone by his ear. Zichen Ji, Huang Yi was extremely excited, causing Yi Zichen to involuntarily smile when he heard his tone. You can stand up. For 10-odd years, ever since he was born, he didn't know what walking was. He didn't think that he would have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. He didn't expect Yi Zichen's appearance to change his life. Zichen Ji, thank you so much. Huang Yi sounded like he was about to cry. Yi Zichen understood his feelings, so he comforted him. This is great news, what are you crying for? Does your sister know that you can stand up? She knows. Not long later, Huang Xingmei's joyful voice sounded out from the phone. Yi Zichen let out a sigh and shrugged. Yi Zichen sighed and shrugged. Haha, tell your sister to stop crying. I'll go over to your place right now and give you another checkup. Then, let's go out to eat together and treat it as a celebration for you. All right. After the call ended, Yi Zichen looked at the chat page and noticed that Han Xiangzi was already spamming the screen. It was none other than them, the 8 immortals, being as fierce as they could be. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then casually sent him a message. This sovereign has to go out for something, let's chat when we have time. Yi Zichen closed WeChat with a smile. When Han Xiangzi, who was in the 8 immortals' palace, saw the message, bang. He flung his phone onto the ground, causing it to shatter into pieces. You're pissing me off. Bang. Han Xiangzi was instantly hit on the back of his waist. When he turned around, he saw Iron Crutchley, who was holding a wine gourd and a golden cane, trembling in anger. Chapter 143. The daily pretentiousness of a dandy. When they arrived at Huang Xingmei's home, Yi Zichen gave Huang Yi another massage. After confirming that there were no hidden injuries, Yi Zichen clapped his hands in satisfaction. Not bad, get up. After receiving the order, Huang Yi jumped up from the bed and paced around the room as if he had ADHD. I can walk. Yi Zichen and Huang Xingmei, who were in the bedroom, couldn't help but smile. Zichen, thank you so much. Huang Xingmei's eyes were still glistening with tears. Being able to see her younger brother stand up could be said to be her lifelong wish. The reason why she chose to be a doctor was that she could get to know a great doctor who could treat her brother's leg. After waiting for so long, he finally got his wish. Ding dong. Your favorability level with Huang Xinghao increased by 50. Current favorability level, 580. Yi Zichen was already used to the increase in affability level. With Huang Xingmei, her favorability towards him increased very quickly. Out of all the women he knew, she had become the one with the most favorable impression. If what Yu Lao said was true, then the relationship between Huang Xingmei and him in his previous life could really be said to be tragic. You don't have to be so polite with me. Yi Zichen patted her shoulders. Huang Xingmei bit her lips, then leaned into his arms and started to sob softly. Brother. Zichen, Huang Yi, who had been running around the room, walked into the bedroom and happened to see this scene. He scratched his face with an awkward smile and quietly stepped back. You guys continue. I'm going to walk around for a while. Damn brat, stop strolling around. Zichen Ji will take you to a restaurant. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. Huang Xingmei also blushed as she left his embrace and nodded. Yes, let's go celebrate together. Yi Zichen brought Huang Xingmei and Huang Yi to a store under Shanghai. The moment he entered the door, the manager of the lobby hurried over. Mr. Yi. Yes. Yi Zichen nodded, then looked at the nearly empty hall. Are there any private rooms? Of course, it's necessary for you to come. The manager was extremely humble and reached out to call the foreman next to him. Bring Mr. Yi to prepare bag number 3. Manager, didn't you prepare bag 3 for someone to? The foreman lowered his eyebrows and said. The manager frowned and said. If I say I'll bring Mr. Yi there, then we'll go. The manager secretly cursed the foreman for being a blockhead. So what if it was a reservation? Could it be that he could chase the person with the supreme card out? Under the guidance of the head waiter, they arrived at Reserve Room 3, which was specially reserved by the restaurant in case of emergencies. The private room was huge, and the decorations could be described as luxurious. Huang Xingmei and Huang Yi were both shocked when they entered. On the other hand, Yi Zichen calmly walked to the sofa in the room and sat down. Sir, would you like to order? Well, just a few specialties will do. Ask your manager to arrange the dishes. All right, if you need anything else, just press the bell under the table. Huang Xingmei said as the head waiter left the private room. Zichen, isn't it too much of a waste for us to use this room? It is indeed a bit wasteful, but there are no more seats outside. Let's hurry up and eat. After we finish eating, we'll just give them the room. Huang Xingmei pursed her lips and nodded. Meanwhile, Huang Yi walked around the room a few times with a look of curiosity. Zichen Ji, you're the son of some tycoon, right? The manager outside is so respectful towards you, and even gave you such a high-class room. Just what is your identity? Huang Xingmei also perked up her ears. She didn't know Yi Zichen's identity even though they had known each other for so long. What tycoon? I just helped the owner of this restaurant before. I saved their old man just like how I treated you. That big bro gave me a supreme card, that's why the manager is so respectful. I see, but Zichenji's medical skills are truly amazing. Yi Zichen's original intention was to just have the manager send over a few dishes, but this manager was truly generous. Yi Zichen was a bit speechless as he looked at the table of specialties in front of him. Zichen. Eat, don't care so much. Yi Zichen picked up his chopsticks and took a bite. He didn't care so much. If it really didn't work, then he'll take it back for his lil white to eat. Young Master Chu, the person sitting inside is our restaurant's VIP. What VIP? Laozi is in VIP. I don't believe that anyone can be more expensive than me. Young Master Chu don't. Yi Zichen, who sat at the table, raised his eyebrows. Huang Xingmei and Huang Yi also looked towards the door. Zichen, the people outside seem to be arguing about our room. Go and argue with them, let's eat. Yi Zichen didn't have the mood to argue with the people outside. He also believed that the restaurant manager would be able to handle it. Yet bang. The door to the room was kicked open, causing Huang Xingmei and Huang Yi to jump in fright. Yi Zichen also frowned as he placed his chopsticks back onto the chopstick rack. Seriously, I can't even take it when I want to eat. I do want to see just who your VIP is. A young man with a gloomy expression walked in from outside the room. The restaurant manager tried to stop him, but heard Yi Zichen laugh. Tell him to come over. Mr. Yi. Cold sweat flowed down the manager's forehead when he heard Yi Zichen's calm reply. Young Master Chu's status was indeed very high, and he was also their frequent customer. However, he couldn't resist the supreme card in Yi Zichen's hands. Move aside. Young Master Chu pushed the manager away, then walked in front of Yi Zichen with large strides. After examining Yi Zichen, young Master Chu twitched his mouth and smiled towards the manager. He's the VIP you guys were talking about? Chu Yaoyang was a reputable hedonist in Bingqing. Yi Zichen's clothes. He really couldn't bear to look down on him. Young Master Chu, you should leave. I'm doing this for your own good, the manager comforted softly on the side. The manager comforted him softly on the side. Young Master Chu shook his head with a snicker, then walked in front of Yi Zichen and looked down at him. You might be a bit capable to be able to enter this room, but it's your grandson's bad luck to meet me, Chu Yaoyang. Chu Yaoyang. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Chu Yaoyang smiled arrogantly. What, you've heard of this young master's name? Nope. Chu Yaoyang's proud look instantly froze. He squinted his eyes and licked his lip. Grandson, you did it on purpose, right? Zichen, Huang Xingmei pulled Yi Zichen on the side. She felt that these people didn't seem like good people. She was just a little doctor, and her family was from a normal family, so she felt like it was best not to mess with people like this. Chu Yaoyang's eyes suddenly brightened. He believed that he hunted quite a few beauties in Bingqing. However, this kind of top quality was truly rare. Chapter 144. What a slap in the face. When the manager of the restaurant heard this, his vision suddenly darkened. This matter could not be resolved peacefully. Chu Yaoyang licked his lips. His gaze was extremely invasive as it swept across Huang Xingmei's graceful figure. Huang Yi was enraged and took a step forward. Watch your words when talking to my sister. Yo, brother-in-law. Chu Yaoyang smiled playfully. Huang Yi acted like he was about to swing his fist, but was stopped by Yi Zichen. He smiled lightly and took a step forward, glancing at Chu Yaoyang. I changed my mind. Chu Yaoyang straightened his neck and sneered. Do you want to? Pa Yi Zichen rubbed his hand and slapped Chu Yaoyang's mouth. Originally, I wanted to finish eating as soon as possible and give you the room, but you pissed me off, and I'm very unhappy. Grandson, F***ck me, bang. Yi Zichen kicked Chu Yaoyang, then pointed at the manager beside him. Hold him there for me. If you can't hold him down, you don't need to be the manager anymore. Young Master Yi, you're making things difficult for me. The manager truly wanted to cry. He couldn't afford to offend Yi Zichen, but he also couldn't afford to offend Chu Yaoyang. Are you trying to make things difficult for me? After hesitating for a moment, the manager gritted his teeth and called the waiter next to him. Hold young Master Chu down. One overpowered the other. Since Mr. Yi was pressuring him, he would pressure the waiter. In any case, he couldn't take the blame. Let's see who dares to touch me. If you dare touch me, I'll make sure you won't be able to survive in Ice City. These waiters had all heard of Chu Yaoyang's abilities. These words were definitely not to scare them. He really could do it. For a moment, all the waiters stopped. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh. It seems like it's really hard for us waiters to do this. Looks like I'll have to do it myself. He walked to Chu Yaoyang's side and glanced at him. She stepped on his back and pressed him hard against the ground. Little bastard, I won't forgive you. Chu Yaoyang cursed angrily from below. He wanted to stand up, but he felt as if 1,000 kilograms of pressure was pressing down on him. He couldn't move at all. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth, then took out his phone to call Xiao Hai. Xiao Hai sat on the sofa in the office. The secretary brought the recent proposal to his side. He held it and gave the secretary a look before lightly smiling. Zichen, why did you think of calling Hai Ji? Big brother Hai, I don't come here for no reason. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then scanned everyone in the room. I'm eating at your restaurant. A grandson called Chu Yaoyang offended me, so I'm rather unhappy. Who is Chu Yaoyang? Xiao Hai froze for a moment. At his level, he wouldn't be able to recognize a little silk pants like Chu Yaoyang. But that grandson is unlucky to have provoked you. Brother Hai can't go personally. Huang Ming is playing with those little debauches, so I'll let him go. Sorry to trouble you, Brother Hai. After a call, the manager next to him started to wipe his sweat. He knew that Mr. Yi had called their big boss. Chu Yaoyang, who was stepped on by Yi Zichen, did not struggle as much as before. Instead, he asked worriedly, "Who did you just call? Take a guess." Yi Zichen smiled softly, then signaled the manager to bring a chair over. He just sat on the chair and stepped on Chu Yaoyang with his left foot. Approximately half an hour later, bang! The door to the room was pushed open with force, while Huang Ming hurried in. Chu Yaoyang, who was lying on the floor, quickly shouted when he saw him. "Young Master Huang, you finally came." From his tone, it seemed like he had been waiting for Huang Ming to come as well. F***CKU. Huang Ming kicked Chu Yaoyang's face. In an instant, a bruise appeared on Chu Yaoyang's face, while his teeth and blood flowed out of his mouth. Huang Ming spat at Chu Yaoyang angrily, then bowed and rubbed his hands. "Big brother Yi." Yi Zichen nodded, then lifted his foot off Chu Yaoyang. Yi Zichen stretched lazily, then frowned. "It really isn't easy to eat at your house. Big brother Yi, how do you want to deal with this grandson?" Huang Ming kicked Chu Yaoyang. Yi Zichen licked his lips and shrugged. "It's up to you. Deal with it however you think is good. The reason I got Hai Ji to tell you to come over is to have a peaceful meal, understand?" Only then did Huang Ming notice Huang Xingmei, who was on the side. He nodded towards her, then grabbed Chu Yaoyang's collar and scolded, "You dare to disturb Big Brother Ye's meal? How dare you delay Big Brother Ye's meal? I think you're dead." Huang Ming hurriedly left the room. Just as he was about to leave after nodding towards Yi Zichen, he heard Yi Zichen speak up once again. "Oh yeah, the brat in your hand cursed a few times just now and even spoke rudely towards the lady beside me. Big brother Yi, I will take care of it." Yi Zichen respectfully closed the door to the room, then turned around and smiled towards Huang Xingmei and her brother. "Now we can have a proper meal." However, due to the situation just now, the meal was still rather awkward. Yi Zichen apologized after hastily finishing the meal. "Next time Zichenji will treat you guys to another meal." "That's fine, but don't. Let's just eat at home next time." The situation just now was still fresh in Huang Xingmei's mind. Huang Xingmei didn't want to encounter such a situation during the next meal. Sure. Thinking about the situation just now, there wasn't much to say. Encountering something like this during a meal was truly f***ket up. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh, then looked towards Huang Yi. "How is it? Zichenji will take you to see that team? So fast?" Huang Yi scratched his face with a frown. "Zichenji, my leg just recovered. I don't want to join the team so early, otherwise, I'll have to sit every day." "Sure, then contact me when you want to go." Yi Zichen patted Huang Yi's shoulders, then raised his eyebrows and left the room with them. The moment they walked out, they saw Huang Ming standing at the entrance of the room with a cigarette in his mouth. When Yi Zichen came out, he immediately walked up, as if he wanted to say something. "You guys go back, I'll chat with him for a bit." Yi Zichen looked at Huang Ming after Huang Xingmei and Huang Yi left. "Say it, what do you want to say to me?" "Yidage, I already took care of that grandson, Chu Yaoyang." And Yi Zichen nodded. Yi Zichen nodded noncommittally, but he knew that Huang Ming wanted to say more than that. "As expected, I can't hide it from Big Brother Yi." Huang Ming scratched his head and laughed idiotically. It was very hard to believe that this brat was so fierce towards Yi Zichen just a month ago. "Alright, just say whatever you want to say." Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Huang Ming hesitated for a moment, then clenched his teeth and said, Chapter 145. D. Tian. He looked at Huang Ming in confusion. This brat actually took the initiative to buy the great cyclic pill from him. At that time, he even said that this thing was a scam. Are you sure you're not talking nonsense? Yi Zichen smiled playfully. Huang Ming clenched his teeth and lowered his head. Big brother Yi, I know I let you down in the beginning. Just take it that I'm young and insensible. I really need the Great Recover pill now. What do you want the Great Recover pill for? Yi Zichen wasn't a petty person. Although this brat was rather prideful before, he didn't do anything too out of line. Recently, his relationship with old Lord Taishang had been tense, so he definitely wouldn't have any more Great Recovery pills. If Huang Ming wanted to use the Great Cyclic Pill to save someone, he could definitely rely on Taishang Laojuan's book to help. I think, Buzz, just as Huang Ming was about to speak, the phone in Yi Zichen's pocket rang. He took out his phone and glanced at the caller ID. He signaled Huang Ming to wait for a while before putting the phone to his ear. Su Yan. You're Yi Zichen, right? Su Yan's voice didn't come through the phone. Instead, it was a more neutral voice. Who are you? Why are you using Su Yan's phone to call me? Where's Su Yan? Yi Zichen's heart instantly leapt to his throat, and he became extremely anxious. Me? In a gorgeous villa, a man with long hair tied into a ponytail was sitting on the sofa and swirling the red wine in his glass. He chuckled as he looked at Su Yan and Xia Kiki, who were restrained by two female bodyguards with tape over their mouth. Didn't you say that you wanted to see me? It's just that I'm a lazy person and don't like to move around. I have no choice but to ask you to come and see me. Buzz. Yi Zichen's head buzzed. He was the person behind Haowen. Your two confidants are in my hands. What I want is very simple. Send Haowen back to me. 2 for 1. You're very profitable. 2 people? Yi Zichen frowned, but he didn't have the time to worry about it. All right, I'll bring Haowen to see you. Do it yourself. I don't like to meet too many strangers. Don't play any tricks. I'm monitoring your every move. I'll send you the address later. Remember, you only have an hour. More than an hour, and every minute that passes, I will add a stroke to the cheeks of these two beauties. I'll be there as soon as possible. You'd better not touch them. That will depend on your speed. All right, I'm tired of talking to you for so long. See you later. Yi Zichen clenched his fists so hard that they cracked, while his expression was terrifyingly dark. Big brother Yi, let's talk about your Great Recover pill later. I have something urgent to attend to. Sorry. Yi Zichen hurriedly left the restaurant and headed straight for Dongfang Wenny. On the way there, Yi Zichen had already called Dongfang Wenny. When he arrived, Dongfang Wenny had already brought Haowen out and stood at the entrance. Young Master Yi. I'll take him away. Yi Zichen grabbed Haowen, who was like a corpse. It seemed like he had suffered quite a bit at Dongfang Wenny's hands. Young Master Yi, do you need our help? No need, it's enough for me to deal with this myself. Yi Zichen threw Haowen into the car, then looked at his phone, only to find that Dongfang Wenny still had not sent him an address. F***ck. Yi Zichen called Su Yan. Not long later, she picked up. You're here? Address, send me the address. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth, as if he was going to swallow the person on the other side of the phone. At this moment, the other person smiled in realization. I was so focused on playing with your two beauties that I forgot to send you the address. To be honest, I'm starting to regret exchanging with you, these two beauties. F***CKU grandson, I'm warning you, don't touch them. Is there any use in warning? The person on the other side of the phone suddenly laughed playfully. Also, I don't like your attitude being too tough. Apologize to me, then shout Grandpa D. Tian, I was wrong 3 times, then I'll tell you the address. Grandson, you, Yi Zichen cursed angrily, but Su Yan and Xia Kik's cries suddenly sounded out from the phone. Don't touch me, let go of me. D. Tian, I said, don't touch them. Ha! Di Tian, who was in the mansion, smiled darkly, as if he enjoyed Yi Zichen's exasperated look. He removed his hands from Su Yen and Xia Kik's cheeks, then raised his eyebrows and put the phone beside his ear. Then what should you do? Yi Zichen, don't mind us. Rish bro, don't come. This sissy is setting you up. Slap. Di Tian slapped the two girls, causing the crisp sound of the slap to be heard by Yi Zichen. Di Tian? Seal her mouth. Di Tian took out a handkerchief to wipe his hands, then chucked it onto the tea table. At the same time, he turned the phone into speaker mode. Don't call my name. You should know what to do if you don't want them to suffer. Su Yen and Xia Kiki, who had their mouths sealed, glared and shook their heads. Yi Zichen, who was in the car, clenched his fist tightly and glared with bloodshot eyes. Di Tian, my patience is very limited, and you don't have much time left. Phew. Grandpa Di Tian, I was wrong. You're too quiet, I can't hear you. Di Tian swirled the red wine in his glass and smiled evilly. Grandpa Di Tian, I was wrong. Grandpa Di Tian, I was wrong. Grandpa Di Tian, I was wrong. Yi Zichen's shouts became louder and louder. Su Yen and Xia Kiki, who had their mouths sealed within the mansion, continuously shook their heads. As they listened to the shouts from the microphone, their tears flowed uncontrollably. You guys are so lucky. For the sake of you, I even threw away my dignity. Di Tian smiled playfully. He glanced at Su Yen and Xia Kiki, who were crying non-stop, and put away the speaker on his phone. I'll send you the address. Di Tian, remember what you said. If I see them there. I told you, I hate it when people threaten me. Di Tian's words instantly caused Yi Zichen to choke back his words. You were merely apologizing to me just now, do you understand? If you don't want them to get hurt, you have to get there within the time limit. Then quickly send me the address. Yi Zichen was already a bit hysterical. Di Tian smiled and shrugged. All right, since you called me grandpa just now, I can't be too mean to my grandson. All right, since you called me grandpa just now, you can't be too mean to your grandson. Yi Zichen said in a subservient manner. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't be forceful in this sort of situation. Yi Zichen was utterly subservient. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't be forceful in this sort of situation. Yi Zichen hung up. Not long later, a message appeared on his phone. After he hung up, he received a text message on his phone not long after. It was the address that Di Tian sent. Yi Zichen stepped down on the gas, then directly drove off as fast as he could with bloodshot eyes. Chapter 146. False spirit body. The wine in the cup contained a scarlet color that would cause one's heart to tremble. Di Tian gulped it down in a single gulp, and the wine flowed down the corner of his mouth to his neck, causing the hearts of everyone to turn cold at this moment. With a ding, he crushed the wine glass in his hand. Holding the bottom of the glass, he walked in front of Su Yen and gently stroked her cheek. Scared. Su Yan's body trembled slightly. How could she not be afraid? As long as the other party used a little more strength, her face would be disfigured. I'm quite satisfied with your current appearance. Fear, unwillingness, and resentment. I really like it. Prepare to die. When Yi Zichen arrives, he won't let you go. Xia Kiki glared at CPT and shouted angrily. Di Tian frowned, and a look of displeasure flashed across his eyes. Very powerful. Don't you believe? Whoosh. The base of the wine glass slid across Xia Kiki's face, and a faint line of blood appeared on her cheek. I'm really sorry. I didn't hold back. Quick, get her a bandage. Tyrant bro will not let you off. Xia Kiki shouted. At the same time, Su Yen also angrily rebuked. Di Tian, what you're doing is illegal. My father and grandfather won't let you off. The corners of Di Tian's mouth curled up into a playful smile. Do you think I care about the Su family? You've been captured by me for so long. Have you seen your father and grandfather? Di Tian returned to the sofa with a sneer. He looked up at the clock in the living room. Get ready. Time's almost up. If it takes more than a minute, I'll cut their faces. Yes. A dagger shining with a cold light suddenly appeared in the hands of the two women controlling Su Yen and Xia Kiki. I don't know if you can make it in time. Di Tian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Buzz buzz. The engine roared as Yi Zichen rushed to the address Di Tian sent him as fast as he could. What came into view was a bungalow that looked like a fortress. Outside the bungalow, there were more than 10 strong men in black clothes patrolling. Who is it? Get off. The moment Yi Zichen's car appeared, the hulks all surrounded him. Di Tian told me to look for him. Let me in. Young master didn't say that he had a guest. Please go back. One of them, a man in a tight black vest, made an inviting gesture. Seeing their actions, Yi Zichen instantly understood. Everything had been arranged by Di Tian. Creak. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly and stared at the black gate behind the 12 hulks. There were 10 minutes left. Since you want to play, I'll play with you. After returning to the car, Yi Zichen fastened his seatbelt, then smiled as he stared at the pitch-black door. Whoosh. He stepped on the accelerator, and the expensive Porsche 918 crashed into the 12 strong men. The black-shirted hulks all rolled to the side, while Yi Zichen's car also crashed into the metal gate without any hesitation. Boom. The door rumbled loudly, and Di Tian, who was sitting in the living room, noticed that a surveillance camera had appeared on the coffee table in front of him. He couldn't help but shake his head and smile as he looked at Yi Zichen, who continuously rammed the car against the metal gate. You have a temper. Dong, dong, dong. The front bumper of the car had already been smashed, while a huge dent also appeared on the black metal gate. Gradually, smoke started to rise from the front of the car, but Yi Zichen continued to ram against it without care. Let me show you. Di Tian turned the surveillance camera over. When Su Yen and Xia Kiki saw this, they both shouted, Hurry up and jump out of the car! Jump out of the car! However, their shouts did not reach Yi Zichen's ears. There was only one thought in his mind. Ram it open. The 10-odd hulks were also shocked. They had told Di Tian to stay here and interfere with Yi Zichen. However, they didn't think that he would use such an extreme method. They stood on the side blankly and watched as Yi Zichen rammed into the metal gate time and time again. Boom. At that moment, the metal gate collapsed. At the same time, the car had already been smashed beyond recognition by Yi Zichen. The smoke in front of the car became thicker and thicker, and from the looks of it, it was going to explode soon. Yi Zichen pulled Haowen down from the car as fast as he could. Bang! It was as if a fiery lotus had exploded. Yi Zichen, who did not manage to get to a safe position, was instantly swallowed by the lotus. Yi Zichen, Su Yen and Xia Kiki, who were in the mansion, screamed. More importantly, Xia Kiki's eyes had already gradually turned a faint golden color, while her hair also turned from black to gold. Di Tian, you pissed me off. At that moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded out from the surveillance camera. Yi Zichen slowly walked out of the fire lotus. His clothes were riddled with holes, and even his hair was burnt to a crisp. His bald head was completely burnt, and he was dragging Haowen, whose fate was unknown. You really piss me off. Yi Zichen's mutter continuously sounded out from the surveillance camera. When Su Yen and Xia Kiki saw this, they both cried tears of joy. Xia Kiki's golden eyes and hair also returned to their normal color. Interesting, the older I get, the more interesting it is. Di Tian laughed maniacally, then looked at the time. There were 5 minutes left. Notify Team 2 to stop him. Yi Zichen walked forward step by step. The moment the car exploded, he activated Unbreakable Body. But even so, his body still suffered huge injuries. The reason why he was able to stand there and walk towards the mansion was due to his determination. He has to get there in the stipulated time and save Su Yen and Xia Kiki. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Zichen looked up and swept his gaze over them. 4 short-haired girls in red tight suits blocked the mansion's entrance. Yi Zichen looked up and snorted with a hoarse voice. You guys are going to stop me? Yi Zichen did not reply. The 4 girls charged towards Yi Zichen at the same time. Yi Zichen chucked Haowen onto the ground, then looked up. A light flashed across his eyes, which was replaced by a burning rage. F***ck off. Bang. Yi Zichen punched one of the girls. The girl, who was hit by Yi Zichen's angry punch, immediately fell onto the ground like a broken kite and coughed up blood. The other 3 looked at each other, as if they could see the wariness in each other's eyes. However, due to Di Tian, who was behind them, they had no choice but to continue forward. Dong. Another woman was sent flying backward. Stop forcing me. I don't want to hit women, but if you come any closer, then die. Yi Zichen stomped down with his right foot, causing a huge crack to appear on the granite floor. Di Tian, who was in the room, contracted his pupils. False spiritual body. Yi Zichen smiled, then looked up at the time once again. 1 minute. Di Tian picked up the walkie-talkie and muttered softly, while the same words rang out in the Bluetooth earphones of the 4 girls outside. Chapter 147. I old son, am here. Yi Zichen's expression turned scarily dark when he felt the determination of the 2 girls, who were trying everything they could to stop him from entering the mansion. The other 2 girls, who couldn't even stand properly, also struggled to stand up from the ground. From the looks of it, they were going to stop him from entering even if they died. Is your life not the most important thing in your eyes? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. As time ticked away, he felt more and more anxious. If this continues, I gave you guys a chance, but you guys don't fight for it. Then don't blame me for destroying flowers. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly and decided not to hold back anymore. What are you mumbling about? Blackie stood by the window of the supermarket on the 2nd floor. Zhuge Kongming squinted his eyes, while a faint light flickered on his body. Don't disturb me. Zhuge Kongming frowned, but didn't open his eyes. His right thumb continuously tapped on the fingerprints of his other fingers, as if he was a Maoshan Taoist from ancient times. He also muttered something that no one could understand. Virum. A glint flashed across Zhuge Kongming's eyes, but his brows were tightly knitted together. It's a close call, but it shows great danger. What? Blackie was completely confused. Zhuge Kongming jumped down from the bed and said, Tell me Zichenji's location. How would I possibly know? You aren't his. Halfway through his sentence, Zhuge Kongming recalled that he took the ghost-controlling sigil off the other day. He patted his thigh and clenched his teeth. Heavenly eye open. A silver vertical eye, similar to Erling Shin Yangjian's 3rd eye, floated out from his forehead. Dahe was completely stunned, and its atoms apple-bobbed. Not long later, he saw Zhuge Kongming open his eyes once again with a snort. Di Tian, this little scum. Blackie, come with me to save Zichenji. Dong. The bell rang out. Di Tian, who was sitting on the sofa, smiled. He put down his wine glass and snapped his fingers. Time's up. Let's go. Xia Kiki and Su Yan were both a little flustered. No matter how strong they were, how could they not be afraid when a knife was held to their faces? Thot, thot, thot. Slow and clear footsteps sounded out from the mansion's living room. Yi Zichen grabbed Haowen's collar with his right hand expressionlessly and slowly walked towards Di Tian. There were several scars on his chest that caused people's hearts to tremble. Blood slowly flowed down his chest. But he didn't care, his face was expressionless. He continued to walk forward. Dong. Yi Zichen casually tossed Haowen in front of Di Tian. Yi Zichen had never seen him before, but he was certain that the person in front of him was Di Tian. This is the man you want. Let go of my man. Yi Zichen. Tyrant bro. Su Yan and Xia Kiki screamed when they saw the heart-wrenching wounds. Yi Zichen turned around and smiled towards them. After giving them a peaceful look, he turned back towards Di Tian. Very good, very strong. Di Tian clapped his hands and stood up from the sofa. He wasn't very tall. He only reached up to Yi Zichen's shoulder when he stood up. He looked down at Hao Wen, who was beside his feet, then looked up at the two girls who were controlling Su Yan and Xia Kiki. Do it! F***ck off. Yi Zichen hooked Hao Wen, who was on the ground, with his leg and threw him onto the two girls. Then, he grabbed Di Tian's collar and pulled him up. Grandson, what do you want? Let go of young master. Zoom. 2 men and 2 women suddenly appeared beside Yi Zichen. All 4 of them held sharp daggers in their hands and pointed them at Yi Zichen's vitals. Yi Zichen continued to hold on to Di Tian's collar as if he didn't hear anything and said coldly, I already brought them to you. You said on the phone that you would use Hao Wen to exchange for the 2 of them. Are you going back on your word? But I want him alive. Di Tian's gaze swept over Yi Zichen's body like a poisonous snake. After pushing Yi Zichen away, he glanced at Hao Wen, who was lying motionlessly on the ground, and laughed coldly. I can help you bring him back to life. No need, Di Tian shrugged with a smile. I told you to send him over. I'm prepared to take his life as well. Now, it saved me the effort. Then, let him go. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Di Tian merely shrugged with a smile, then wrapped his braid around his neck and glanced at Yi Zichen. Sorry, I'm a person who pays attention to transactions. You don't have any bargaining chips, so it seems like this transaction can't be completed. I'm going to take these 2 girls. F***cku. Bang. Yi Zichen swung his hand and sent the 4 people around him flying, then clawed towards Di Tian with his right hand. False spiritual body, do you really think that you're invincible? Di Tian merely reached out 2 fingers to completely block Yi Zichen's attack. Yi Zichen raised his leg and kicked Di Tian's chest. Blood continuously flowed out from the already horrifying wound on Di Tian's chest after the kick. Yi Zichen squatted in the living room of the mansion with a pale face. The man in front of him was very strong, much stronger than the delinquents he had met before. What was more important was the false spiritual body. What exactly did his words mean? Creak. Yi Zichen didn't have time to think so much. He immediately charged towards Di Tian. He had to deal with this man, then leave with Su Yan and Xia Kiki. Dong. No matter how many times he tried, the result was him smashing into the wall time and time again. Yi Zichen, never mind. Su Yan shook her head helplessly. Every time Yi Zichen charged out, he would be beaten back, causing her heart to ache. Xia Kiki, who was on the side, had already turned silent. However, a faint golden light flickered in her eyes. Di Tian. An explosive roar sounded out from the living room. Yi Zichen ignored the blood and pain on his body and charged towards Di Tian like a madman. This time, Di Tian did not send him flying crack. Di Tian dislocated his right arm, then flipped his right hand and pressed his left leg onto Di Tian's back, while he pressed his head onto the ground. I've said it more than once, I don't like people who are too domineering. What's more, I'm a person who means what I say. I'm going to take these 2 women, so you can't take them away. Do you understand? Di Tian, I'm going to kill, crack. Di Tian stepped on Yi Zichen's leg with his right leg, while he squinted his eyes and laughed coldly. I think you're seeking death. Haha. Di Tian, I'm going to kill. You won't have the chance. With that, Di Tian's right hand, which shone with a faint light, slapped the back of Yi Zichen's head. No. Xia Kiki shouted, while the golden light in her eyes became more obvious. However, at that very moment, an illusory figure suddenly appeared from within the mansion. Chapter 148. The Great Sage is my bro. The sudden laughter shocked everyone in the mansion. Old Sunday. What a familiar feeling. Yi Zichen, who was pressed onto the ground, thought softly. Bullying old son's bro, heh. Di Tian felt his body lighten. When he finally reacted, he started to float up uncontrollably. Z's, bro, you're so miserable in this secret location. Zoom. A peach appeared in front of Yi Zichen. He turned his head and saw Thunder God Mouth, lonely face. He wore golden armor and a golden red crown. The great sage. What are you blanking out for? I, old son, didn't give you peaches for nothing. 5 bottles of ha-ha. Gulp. It really is the great sage. Not only Yi Zichen, Su Yen and everyone else in the mansion were shocked. Isn't this Sun Wukong from Journey to the West? Why did he appear here? Xia Kik's expression shook when she saw this. However, she quickly revealed an undetectable smile, and the golden light in her eyes gradually retracted. Bro, eat a peach. Aye. Yi Zichen replied, then raised his uninjured arm and quickly swallowed the peach. A warm current flowed through his meridians, causing all the pores on his body to open up as if they were reborn. The injuries on his body also healed at a visible rate. At that moment, it would not be an exaggeration to say that he was reborn. His injuries were completely healed. Yi Zichen immediately ran to Su Yen and Xia Kik's side and untied them. Are you guys alright? And no, Su Yen stuttered for a long time without being able to say anything. Whether it was the sudden appearance of the great sage in the mansion or Yi Zichen's injuries, I'll explain it to you later. Yi Zichen caressed Su Yan's hair, then looked at Xia Kiki. She seemed very calm, but her beautiful eyes continuously stared at the great sage. For some reason, Yi Zichen suddenly felt a bit jealous. *CK, the moment the great sage arrived, he stole all the limelight. Bro, the great sage walked over. 10,000 question marks popped up in Yi Zichen's mind. Great sage, why did you come here? Isn't it easy for me, old son, to come here? The great sage grinned. Do you still remember the life-saving hair I gave you? When you're in danger, I'll sense it and teleport over. Life-saving hair. Yi Zichen looked up in confusion at Lu Jing, who was in midair. Didn't I lose the hair? But brother, this secret place of yours is very strange. Old son's cultivation is actually suppressed here. But that's fine, there's still a false Earth Immortal that I can use. Earth Immortal? False Earth Immortal? What the hell was going on? Yi Zichen expressed his confusion. Could this be the Heavenly Court's division of power? Tian seemed to have mentioned something about spirit bodies just now. What were they used for? Brother, why are you always in a daze? Before we met, I, old son, felt that you weren't such a talkative person. Ah. Haha. Great Sage's arrival has caught me off guard. Yi Zichen laughed dryly, but in his heart, he cursed. What was he supposed to say in this situation? He was completely dumbfounded. What's there to be caught off guard about? I, old son, wanted to see you a long time ago. While the great sage and Yi Zichen chatted happily, the people around them were completely confused. For example, Su Yen or Tian, who was floating in the sky. As for Lu Jing, Sun Wukong actually came after chatting for a bit. The great sage swept his fiery eyes of truth over everyone in the mansion, then landed on Tian, who was in the sky. Bro, what's going on with him? He kidnapped your 2 brothers' wives and brought them here. I'm here to fight with him. Hey, show him what you're capable of. The great sage stomped his foot, then grabbed towards the sky. Let me go. I'm telling you, my older brother is a late-stage, spiritual body expert of the rogue immortal line. What's more, my father is a complete stage, spiritual body expert of the rogue immortal line. If you don't want... Slap. The great sage slapped Tian's head. I, old son, can slap you to death with a single slap. You dare to threaten me, old son. All of a sudden, the great sage revealed his ferocity. Bro, tell me how to deal with it. Yi Zichen revealed a playful expression. Regardless of how the great sage came, the situation seemed to have changed. When he thought about Tian's pretentious face, *CK, you dare to hit Lousy. Did you see that? Great sage, this is Lousy's bro. You even dared to act in front of Lousy just now. Keep acting. Keep acting. With that, Yi Zichen slapped Tian's head. He clapped until his hands were numb. Only then did he stop. Great sage, what would you do if it was you? About this, the great sage revealed a troubled expression. He had turned into the victorious fighting Buddha in order to obtain scriptures from the Western paradise. In the Buddhist region of the West, he had also lived a life of not eating meat and praying to Buddha. Although the hostility was still present, it had decreased by quite a bit. His fiery eyes of truth were able to determine whether Di Tian was a monster or a human. The Yao immediately smashed him with his club without saying anything else. This living person, it wouldn't be too good if I, old son, killed him. Yi Zichen also understood the great sage's hesitation, so he nodded. Then let's turn him into something. That's great. Bro, what do you think he should change into? I'll change, Yi Zichen grinned, while an interesting idea surfaced in his mind. An hour later, Yi Zichen walked out of Di Tian's mansion with a transformer in his hand. Di Tian's subordinates were a bunch of innocent people. With the intention of accumulating merit for himself, he did not vent his anger on them. Su Yen and Xia Kiki kept staring at the great sage. Even though the great sage had helped him resolve a huge problem, letting his woman look at another man. What? You're saying that the great sage isn't a man, but a monkey? Even if he was a monkey, he was a male monkey. Yi Zichen licked his lips, then patted the great sage's shoulders. Great sage, you're too conspicuous in this secret place of mine. Can you change into something similar to what I'm wearing? Sure. Bang. A plume of white smoke rose up, and like a magic trick, the great sage turned into the black-robed man Di Tian had seen in the villa. Wow. Su Yen and Xia Kiki's eyes twinkled as they covered their mouths and exclaimed. Yi Zichen's expression darkened once more. Damn it, the great sage stole the limelight again. If it wasn't for the fact that the marriage string wasn't broken and the favorability level wasn't low, he even suspected that the two of them had fallen in love with someone else. Brother, how about this? The great sage raised his eyebrows. Yi Zichen nodded with a forced smile. Don't worry. Not bad. Although he was unhappy, to be honest. This 72 transformations was really cool. If only he could learn it, that would be so cool. Yi Zichen couldn't help but clench his fist. He had to develop his side business in the heavenly court and quickly earn enough cultivation to buy a book. No, why should I buy it? Chapter 149. Me. Her. Yi Zichen rubbed his hands, then hooked them around the great sage's neck and raised his eyebrows. Great sage, can you teach me your 72 transformations? That's a bit hard for me, old son. The great sage scratched his head. I learned all of this from Patriarch Subhuti. I'm sure you all know this. When Master sent me away, he told me, fine. It seems like there's no chance. Then never mind. Yi Zichen shrugged. At that moment, a taxi stopped in front of the mansion. When the door opened, the little fellow, Zhuge Kongming, jumped out anxiously. Monster! The great sage roared. He reached his hand to his ear, and a Rui Jingu Bang appeared in his hand, which he swung towards Blackie, who was following behind Zhuge Kongming. Oh my god, can't you stop being a ghost? Why can everyone see me? Blackie said with a northeastern accent. Seeing that the Rui Jingu Bang was about to hit him, he immediately flew up. You want to run after meeting me, old son? The great sage stomped the ground when he saw that Blackie wanted to escape. What's going on? Why can't I fly over here? The great sage could fly whenever he wanted in the heavenly court. He was confused as to why he didn't get up. When he turned around, he saw Zhuge Kongming and Yi Zichen hugging his leg tightly. Bro, what's the meaning of this? The great sage looked over in confusion. Demons and ghosts were all things that he had to get rid of in front of him. His hands itched when he saw a ghost like Blackie, so he wanted to smack him. What's more, he saw that Blackie followed the boy down. A ghost following a living person, and he didn't see the connection between the two. It was definitely absorbing yang energy. If he didn't take care of this brat, then how could he be worthy of being the great sage? Then I'll beat him into submission, then throw him into the underworld to further his studies. Everything will be perfect. That's a ghost that follows me. Yi Zichen hugged his leg tightly. This lord wasn't easy to deal with. If he really did hit him with the rod just now. If I really smacked him, then Blackie would definitely be dead. You said that he's your ghost? The great sage raised his eyebrows, then glanced at Yi Zichen and Blackie. Then, why can't I feel the connection between you two? I stuck a talisman on him. Yi Zichen exclaimed. The great sage's eyes flashed with golden light, but he shook his head. No talismans. Damn it, there's a ghost. When he subdued Dahe that day, he clearly used the ghost-controlling talisman. Could it be that this talisman had a shelf life and would lose its effect after a while? When he had time, he had to find white impermanence and have a good chat. However, even so, he's still my ghost. Great sage, don't be rash. All right, then I, old son, will not bother with him anymore. The great sage muttered as he shrunk the Jingu Bang and stuffed it into his ear. He heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally managed to pacify this lord. Yi Zichen signaled Blackie with his eyes. Blackie floated over to Yi Zichen's side with a slightly terrified expression, and occasionally glanced at the great sage. However, Su Yen and the others were dumbfounded. It really was Sun Wukong. Alive. Can you give me an autograph? Su Yan's imagination was truly wild. She ran over excitedly, took out a pen from who knows where, and showed the back of her clothes in front of the great sage. Xia Kiki also ran over like her, while Zhuge Kongming did the same. Great sage, give me an autograph as well. The three of them didn't care whether the great sage understood the meaning of an autograph or not, as they chattered around the great sage. Yi Zichen, who was left behind by everyone, revealed a dejected expression and glanced at Lu Jing. You're still the best. I want an autograph as well. Lu Jing muttered softly. Yi Zichen really wanted to cough up blood. What the hell? I risked my life to save these two girls, and I only took Lu Jing in out of kindness. Why did it change at this moment? Xia. AI, you're that Xia. Just as the three of them were fighting for an autograph, Zhuge Kongming suddenly pointed at Xia Kiki and shouted, Who are you? Don't you have any manners? What Xia? Xia Kiki rolled her eyes and pouted. Just as she turned her head impatiently, You. Why did you come here? I'm really going crazy. I ran over to Bingqing in order to avoid marriage. Why did I bump into you here? Tell me the truth, did you intentionally run over to find me? I'm telling you, it's impossible between us. Zhuge Kongming raised his head and firmly refused. Xia Kiki snickered speechlessly. Don't worry, Zhuge Kongming. Xia Kiki snickered speechlessly. Little brother, did you get it wrong? Older sister has always been studying in Bingqing, okay? Also, I already clearly told my family that I won't be a sacrifice for a marriage alliance. What did you come here for? I understand now. Are you feeling indignant and want to reason with me? Then older sister will make you give up. Xia Kiki snickered. She ignored the great sage's autograph and walked in front of Yi Zichen to kiss him. Did you see that? It's my boyfriend. Hurry up and go back. I'm not the kind of person who falls in love with a younger brother. Yidage, she said you're her boyfriend? Zhuge Kongming was shocked. Xia Kiki put her hands on her waist and pointed at him. What Yidage? You and him. Wait, how do you know his surname is Yi? Why you two? The surrounding people were all shocked. The most confused person was Yi Zichen. You? Yi Zichen laughed dryly, then continuously pointed at Xia Kiki and Zhuge Kongming. Only after a long while did he finally understand the situation. The engagement partner that you said is older than you is Kiki? That's her, Zhuge Kongming nodded. Xia Kiki bit her lips. Yi Zichen, you know this shitty brat. Who's a shitty brat? Your whole family are shitty brats. Zhuge Kongming frowned. I'm talking about you. So what? You're a shitty brat. You're underage. Xia Kiki stuck out her tongue and rolled her eyes. Su Yan also stopped signing autographs and stood beside the great sage to look at Yi Zichen. What's going on with my bro? The great sage scratched his head. Su Yan also shook her head in confusion. I don't really understand, but he seems to be really amazing. At the center of the incident, Yi Zichen was stuck between the two of them. He felt rather helpless as he listened to the two of them argue. He forced himself to pull the two of them apart. Stop. The two of them glared at each other angrily, then stopped arguing. Zhuge Kongming also walked beside Yi Zichen and muttered. Zhuge Kongming also walked over to Yi Zichen's side and muttered, Yi Dage, look at this woman. She's a female Tyrannosaurus. It's fortunate that I was smart enough to not want her. I'm telling you, don't be her boyfriend anymore. Her family. Zhuge Kongming. Xia Kiki suddenly exclaimed. Zhuge Kongming was momentarily stunned, then quickly covered his mouth. What happened to her family? Yi Zichen's heart was filled with curiosity when he suddenly stopped. He looked at Zhuge Kongming and Xia Kiki in confusion, then quickly raised his eyebrows. Chapter 150. How many lives? Yi Zichen scratched his head as he watched Zhuge Kongming flee. In the end, he didn't mention Xia Kiki's family, nor did he explain why he came here. After saying that, he forgot to lock the door of the supermarket and left in a hurry. Why is this child so weird? Yi Zichen looked back at Xia Kiki with a look of confusion. He's crazy. Ignore him. Xia Kiki curled her lips and said, Why did you bump into him? Don't come into contact with him in the future. Then contact his family and take him away. I also feel that it's quite troublesome. Yi Zichen was telling the truth. If Xia Kiki could really contact his family and take him away, then it would be a huge help. I can't help you. Unexpectedly, not only did Xia Kiki not help, she even pulled Su Yan to the side of the road, hailed a taxi, and drove off. What the hell? I risked my life to come here to save these two girls, but I ran away without earning anything. Under normal circumstances, she would at least throw herself into his arms and cry. Also, he hadn't explained the great sage to them. Brother, what kind of treasure was that? The great sage looked at the passing cars and couldn't help but raise his brows in confusion. Hearing that, Yi Zichen felt his head hurt once more. This lord wasn't done yet. This is the means of transportation for this secret place. This place belongs to the mortal realm, so there's no way to ride the clouds like the great immortals of the heavenly court. Unfortunately, the people here are very smart. Through the accumulation of thousands of years of culture, they created this kind of black technology. So that's how it is. It's just like how the heavenly court recently developed a cell phone. As he spoke, the great sage took out something that looked like a modern cell phone from who knows where. Yes, more or less. Yi Zichen nodded noncommittally. Gulp. His stomach growled. Great sage, when are you returning to the heavenly court? Yi Zichen prepared to send the old man away before going to eat. I, old son, am not going back. I, old son, think that this secret place is not bad. I, old son, am going to stay here for a while. What? Yi Zichen was a bit worried. This lord isn't leaving. Brother, what's with that expression? The great sage scratched his face. No. Yi Zichen quickly adjusted his expression, then smiled. Great sage, since this sovereign is the host, then this sovereign should treat you with great hospitality. Why don't I take care of things while the great sage is here? No need. The great sage waved his hand nonchalantly. I, old son, have always traveled alone. I don't bother others no matter where I go. With old son's ability, you don't have to worry about me. No. Yi Zichen smiled. Damn it, if I really let this monkey run around, who knows what kind of trouble it will cause with its ruffian nature. Great sage, you should come with me. Follow me, and I will guarantee that Wadha will continue to prosper. Is that true? The great sage's eyes lit up. Of course. Then I, old son, will follow you. The great sage nodded without hesitation. Waha! That was a great treasure. Since Yi Zichen's clothes were too tattered, he went to Di Tian's mansion before he left. When he returned to the villa, everyone in the villa looked as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Fortunately, he only took a set of clothes, then left the villa. Yi Zichen brought the great sage to the dining room. The meal cost several thousand yuan. It wasn't that the dining room was expensive, it was because the great sage could eat too much. During the meal, the great sage continuously praised the food here, saying that it was much more delicious than what the kitchen god and the food god made. I wonder what the two great deities would think if they heard this. Yi Zichen brought the great sage out of the dining room. The moment he walked out, the great sage couldn't help but sigh. Bro, this secret place is truly a blessed land. It's alright. Yi Zichen wasn't too impressed. If he had to name the bad things here, he would be able to name several hundred. However, people like the great sage, who had never come into contact with the environment here, and didn't know the hardships here, might feel that it was pretty good. Oh yeah, bro, I always had a question I wanted to ask. What is the little girl beside you doing? As expected, the great sage could see Lu Jing. She's my little sister. She died before her lifespan ended. I am preparing to revive her. That's very troublesome. It was obvious that the great sage knew the method of resurrection. Yi Zichen had indeed been tormented by the items required for resurrection. The great sage is very powerful in the heavenly court, maybe he can… Great sage, I wonder if you can help me? It'll be difficult. The great sage frowned and shook his head. Everyone knows about my relationship with old Lord Taishang. I, old son, still remember the enmity of that old man refining me. As for the 8 immortals, I'm not familiar with them. It seems like I can only help Fairy Chang Yi, but Soul Pearl Yuan. Forget it then. Yi Zichen felt disappointed. He finally met a strong person, but he couldn't help him. By the way, brother, I, old son, still have some doubts. Speak. Why aren't you an immortal spiritual body? Yi Zichen's heart raced. I won't be exposed here, right? He squinted his eyes and didn't speak for a long time. Lu Jing also floated to his side worriedly. The great sage scratched his face again, then laughed out loud at Yi Zichen's troubled expression. I, old son, understand. Gulp. Yi Zichen gulped. Bro, are you going through the cycle of reincarnation? Although I, old son, don't really like that geezer Tai by jinxing, his position in the heavenly court is definitely second to none. You can live with him, Phew. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. It's fortunate that this monkey isn't too smart. Although I don't know what the hell the reincarnation is, I'll just deal with it first. Yes, this sovereign is indeed going through the cycle of reincarnation. Haha, I, old son, knew it. Do you dare to tell me how many lives it has been? How would I know? The great sage narrowed his eyes, pursed his lips, and said disdainfully, That's right. Still not saying? Petty. I, old son, am just curious about whether you're a half-step immortal king or something. Never mind, I, old son, won't ask. Thank you, great sage, for your understanding. No problem, but… The great sage reached out his hand and licked his lip. I wonder when you can give me, old son, waha? I, old son, have waited for a long time. I'll buy it for you now. Yi Zichen found a hotel for great sage son, then bought 10-odd bottles of waha for him. Before he left, he reminded Yi Zichen again and again not to run around, and that if Yi Zichen wanted to go somewhere, then Yi Zichen could find him on WeChat. Yi Zichen finally managed to calm this lord down, then wiped his sweat and left the hotel. Yi Zichen, why did Sun Wukong come over here? Lu Jing floated in midair with a look of shock. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes and said in annoyance. How would I know? Yi Zichen felt a bit of a headache when the great sage randomly came over. Chapter 151. The collapsing world. Lu Jing was one of the first people to know Yi Zichen's secret. Although she was surprised by the great sage's appearance, she didn't express it too much. They left the hotel together. The moment they walked out of the lobby, Yi Zichen saw a military jeep stop in front of the entrance. The man standing beside the jeep was Su Yan's father, Su Qihu. "Father-in-law, are you here to pick me up?" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and walked over with a smile. Su Qihu caused Yi Zichen's expression to darken, but surprisingly, Su Qihu did not refuse. "The old man asked me to pick you up. Get in the car." "Oh, the old man wants to see if I've drunk all the wine. Cut the crap and get in the car." Yi Zichen glanced at Su Qihu speechlessly. Why is this father-in-law always so cold? He looked like he was going to scold someone at the slightest disagreement. He shrugged his shoulders resentfully, opened the door, and bent down to get into the car. They were speechless along the way. When Yi Zichen arrived at the Su household, he nearly fell asleep. "Get off." Su Qihu opened the car door. Yi Zichen gulped, then slowly got out of the car. "I'm not a prisoner. Can't you speak with a better attitude? Say that again." Yi Zichen glared, rolled his eyes and snorted. "All right, you're amazing. I won't argue with you. When you're old, don't say that I don't take care of you when you're old. Little bastard, I'll beat you to death. Elder Su, help. Your son is going to kill me." As Yi Zichen shouted, he ran into the courtyard, while Su Qihu chased after him with a belt in his hand. "Master Su, please control your son." When Yi Zichen finally ran over to Old Man Su's stone table, he panted heavily and pointed at Su Qihu, who was behind him, and retorted, "Qihu." Old Man Su slammed the table, and Su Qihu, who was extremely fierce just now, immediately lost his temper. "Dad, this little bastard." "What little bastard? I think you're looking for a beating." Yi Zichen sat in front of Old Man Su and signaled towards Su Qihu. Humph! He couldn't lose his temper at Old Master Su, so he could only leave with a cold snort. "Father-in-law, take care." He raised his hand and shouted. Su Qihu's tiger body suddenly froze for a moment, but he still left without looking back. Yi Zichen couldn't help but find it funny when he thought back to Su Qihu's embarrassed look. "Old Man Su, you're the best. This monkey wine is for you." He took out a gourd of monkey wine from his WeChat. This was his last gourd. However, he didn't feel bad about it. With Monkey King around, the monkey wine wouldn't be a problem. Elder Su's eyes lit up when he saw the gourd. "Little Yi, not bad. You know how to be filial to your elders." The two of them chatted happily for a while. Then, Yi Zichen suddenly stopped smiling and tapped the stone table with his fingers. "Old Master Su, did you need something from me?" Old Master Su chuckled and nodded. "You've been in contact with the people from the D family." "Yes." "Is my granddaughter injured?" "With me here, how could she get hurt? But since you knew she was in danger, why didn't you go and save her?" "It's not that we don't want to save him, it's that we can't." Old Master Su's expression darkened. The D family is a semi-hidden family. They have a very high status in the capital. Even some of the giants in the capital don't dare to act recklessly against them. You guys are also from that place, so you should have some understanding of the D family, right? Yi Zichen struggled in his heart. Old Master Su clearly treated him as someone from a certain place. "But I'm actually, what's more, it seems like I'm gradually coming into contact with the people from that place. If this continues, I'll be exposed sooner or later." What spiritual body, what earth immortal, he had no idea at all. Seeing Yi Zichen's change in expression, Old Master Su thought that his words touched on something he shouldn't have, so he quickly changed his words. "Little Yi, Grandpa Su doesn't know what your rules are either. If I say too much, then don't take offense." Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and looked at Old Master Su. He should be the type of person that can be trusted. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth, then let out a sigh. "Old Master Su, actually, I'm not someone from that place. I'm just a normal person." Hearing that, Old Master Su was shocked. From the very beginning, He had always treated Yi Zichen as someone from that place. His miracles could only be explained by someone from that place. However, when he saw Yi Zichen's slightly struggling expression, he was certain in his heart. He didn't lie to himself. I'll tell you the truth. Actually, I was still a normal university student a month ago. The reason why I changed like this was actually because of that. Yi Zichen had already made up his mind to tell everything. However, just as he was about to get to the main point, a roar suddenly sounded out in his mind. If you dare to say anything else, then die, rumble. At this moment, the clear sky suddenly became covered with dark clouds. Frightening lightning bolts shuttled through the clouds, roaring incessantly. Gulp. Yi Zichen forcefully swallowed the words he was about to say and roared angrily in his heart. Who are you? I am Great Emperor Qingming of the Rogue Immortals. I know that you have countless questions in your heart. After a while, someone will go find you for me and answer your questions. During this period of time, if you dare to say anything else, then I will kill without mercy. Remember, remember. The dark clouds dispersed. The words of that great Emperor Qingming echoed in Yi Zichen's mind. Who is he? Why did his words appear in my mind? Was the reason why I was able to get in contact with the people from the heavenly court and the underworld all arranged by this person? Lil Yi zoom. Yi Zichen opened his eyes and looked up to see Old Man Su sitting beside his bed with a worried expression. What's going on? I was clearly chatting with Old Man Su in front of the stone table just a second ago, and I even saw the sky. What exactly is going on? Lil Yi, you finally woke up. These old bones of mine can't take your fright. Yi Zichen sat up with his hands on the bed and looked out the window. Only then did he notice that the sky had already turned dark. Why am I lying here? You're still talking? Old Master Su's face was filled with worry. When we were chatting outside, you suddenly acted as if you had made up your mind and said something like, actually, you don't. But before you could finish your sentence, you suddenly fainted. That scared me, what? Yi Zichen was shocked. He clearly remembered that he already told Old Man Su everything. How did this happen? For some reason, Yi Zichen thought of that great Emperor Qingming. A hint of fear and uneasiness suddenly appeared in his eyes. Chapter 152. Third Fatty Gene. For an entire week, Yi Zichen was in a soulless state. He would still go to class, but his mind would wander off during class. After class, he would return to the dorm and lie on the bed, ignoring everyone. During this period of time, he ignored Su Yan, Xia Kiki, and even the deities in the WeChat group. He needed time to settle down and absorb everything. Yi can't be like this every day. How about we take him to see a psychiatrist? I feel like this should be a mental illness. Kong Ping raised his eyebrows at Yi Zichen, who laid on the bed without moving. Yi Zichen's appearance also caused the people in the dorm to feel worried. The moment he said that, he instantly won everyone's support. I think that's fine, fifth bro is too scary like this. Zhu Yunbai twitched his mouth. Zhang Rui pushed his eyes up and nodded. I think so too. How about we really take him to see a doctor? Then how are we going to take Yi there? Bai Yu frowned. At that moment, a ball-like fatty suddenly appeared at the entrance of the dorm. The fatty was around 7 meters tall, and wore a light gray shirt and a pair of Hawaiian shorts. It looked neither fish nor fowl, but it was hard for people to have the heart to criticize it. The people at the entrance of the dorm also turned around. What? Kong Peng was a sports student, so he looked abnormally muscular. Fatty seemed to be a little afraid as he took a step back, maintaining a suitable distance. I'm looking for Yi Zichen, he's in this dorm, right? Looking for Yi? Bai Yu looked the fatty up and down. He and Yi Zichen were classmates since young, so he knew most of the people that Yi Zichen knew. He really didn't know this fatty. Yeah, I'm looking for Yi Zichen, he's in this dorm, right? The fatty nodded timidly. Zhang Rui and Zhu Yunbai also looked at him with a judgmental gaze. However, at this moment, the fatty's eyes suddenly became extremely sharp, and the harmless smile on his face disappeared. F***ck. Lousy asked if Yi Zichen was in this room. What are you guys looking at? Have you never seen a man as handsome as Lord Fatty? Move to the side, Lord Fatty has urgent business with Yi Zichen. Don't just look at how chubby this Lord Fatty was. His movements were very nimble. Before Kong Peng and the others could react, this fellow had already entered the dormitory. She took out her phone, looked at the photo, then glanced at Yi Zichen, who was blanking out on the bed. Brat, you're Yi Zichen, right? There was no response. Lord Fatty is talking to you. Are you Yi Zichen? There was still no response. Old Master was sent by Great Emperor Qingming to look for you. Swoosh. Yi Zichen, who laid on the bed without moving, suddenly sat up and grabbed the fatty's collar. Kong Peng and the others, who had just entered, happened to see this scene. Brothers, get your weapons. A few of the dormitory brothers grabbed the chairs and keyboards and were about to start playing. Yi Zichen quickly raised his hand. Don't, I know this person. As soon as he finished speaking, he glanced at Fatty and released his hand. I've been waiting for you. Let's go out and have a chat. The rather cocky Fatty seemed to have been frightened by Yi Zichen's aura. He looked at Yi Zichen faintly, then returned to his timid self and followed Yi Zichen out. At a restaurant near Polytechnic University, Yi Zichen asked for a private room and ordered a table full of dishes. However, neither of the two people in the room moved their chopstick. What does Great Emperor Qingming do? Great Emperor Qingming is one of the 3 sky sovereigns of the Rogue Immortals, a sky immortal level expert. Yi Zichen didn't even bat an eyelid. Who knew what a sky immortal level expert was? He didn't have any idea. Lord Fatty was clearly a fanatical fan of Great Emperor Qingming. He couldn't help but slap the table and curse when he saw Yi Zichen's calm reaction. What's with your attitude? A sky immortal level expert is on par with the great sage of the heavenly court, Erling Shun and co. Wouldn't it have been over if you said that earlier? He's pretty amazing. Yi Zichen only knew how strong a sky immortal level expert was with a reference. This Great Emperor Qingming was actually on par with his sworn brother, Erling Shun. That was indeed pretty amazing. F***ck. Why are you so stubborn? Lord Fatty cursed. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and shrugged. What do you want? Do I have to say, wow, he's actually a sky immortal level expert? That's too amazing, my idol. I want to give birth to monkeys for you. Do you think that's okay? Lord Fatty sat back down on the chair sulkily and muttered. Why did I meet such an idiot? I can only blame myself for that. The fatty's real name was Third Fatty Jean, the third disciple of Great Emperor Qingming. He was extremely talented, but due to him being too lazy, he never cultivated, causing him to have the weakest cultivation level among the Great Emperor's disciples. Great Emperor Qingming was completely disappointed in him, which was why he threw him here. Tell me about Great Emperor Qingming. What exactly is he like? Why did I suddenly hear him talking to me that day? Was it all because of him that I could contact the people in the heavenly court and the underworld? Yi Zichen licked his lips. He had been tortured to death by these questions for the past week. You're asking me? How would I know? Third Fatty Jean rolled his eyes speechlessly. Yi Zichen opened his eyes wide, causing him to laugh in anger. Then what did you come to find me for? Esteemed Master told me to pass on a message to you. Third Fatty Jean snorted in annoyance. Esteemed Master told you to release D Tian and let him return to the D family. He said that he doesn't want you to have too much contact with the Rogue Immortals. D Tian? Yi Zichen was stunned. That brat was turned into a transformer by the great sage. I don't think I can do that. Why can't you? Third Fatty Jean raised his eyebrows. Did you kill that D Tian or something? I think. You haven't even reached the false spiritual level. How could you be a match for the D family? I got someone to turn him into a toy. Third Fatty Jean was stunned. then stared at Yi Zichen with his beady eyes. He was turned into a toy. Yeah, he was turned into a transformer. When you came to find me, the transformer beside my pillow was Tion. Third Fatty Jean was so angry that he couldn't speak for a long time. He pointed at Yi Zichen, then took out his phone and dialed a number. Esteemed Master, Tion was turned into a toy by Yi Zichen. Turned into a toy? A playful laugh sounded out from the phone. I understand, I'll get someone to deal with the D family. Then, esteemed Master, can this disciple go back? Who said you can come back? Then just stay in the modern realm and be Yi Zichen's assistant. You can come back when he can open up the passageway between the modern realm and this realm. However, you cannot beat around the bush. Do you understand? This disciple understands. All right, let's talk less in the future. Clack. After the call ended, Third Fatty Jean glanced at Yi Zichen with a dejected expression. Chapter 153. A brief understanding of the three realms. Yi Zichen was still fine just a moment ago, but Yi Zichen suddenly attacked. He leaped and dodged Third Fatty Jin's attack, then sat on a chair at the end of the room. What are you doing? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and cursed. Why did he start fighting at the first sign of disagreement? From the looks of it, he was rather angry. What? When he thought about how he couldn't return to Great Emperor Qingming's side, Third Fatty Jean gritted his teeth and cursed. If it wasn't for you, I would definitely kill you. F***ck, I don't want to fight you. Don't think I'm a pushover. Then go ahead and try. This fat lord wants to see just how capable this grandson of yours is. You asked for it. He twisted his neck. Yi Zichen raised his leg and kicked. When Lord Fatty caught sight of this kick, his lips curled into a look of disdain as he charged over without a care in the world. With his strength as a false earth immortal, there was no way he could deal with a mere false spirit cultivator. Easy, something was wrong. Why am I flying? Dong. A loud noise rang out. The scene he expected did not happen. Instead, Lord Fatty fell to the ground in a sorry state, a confused look on his face. What was going on? No matter what, he was a false earth immortal. How could he not be able to defeat a false spirit? Clenching his fists, Lord Fatty closed his eyes and felt the immortal spiritual energy in his body. Whoosh! His face instantly paled. Gone. All gone. He didn't even have a fart of spiritual power left. Thinking back to his master's words, if there was no accident, his immortal spiritual energy should have been sealed by Great Emperor Qingming. Yi Zichen also walked over with his hands in his pockets when he saw how confused the Fatty was. Fatty, are you a mad dog? Third Fatty Jin's eyes flashed fiercely when he saw him. If it weren't for the brat in front of him, he would already be staying in the clear brightness hall, listening to the maids sing for him and living a comfortable life. This time, he couldn't return to Qingming Hall, and his immortal spiritual energy was gone. You still have the cheek to talk about me? Lord Fatty gritted his teeth and stood up from the ground. I can't return to Qingming Hall now, and my immortal spiritual energy has been sealed by Master. What do you want? Yi Zichen glared at him. Nothing much. Without his celestial spiritual energy, Third Fatty Jean was no different from a normal person. He wasn't stupid enough to fight Yi Zichen head-on. Putting aside the fact that he wouldn't get anything out of it, if he got beaten up, then he'd lose more than he gained. Moreover, he was unfamiliar with the Earth stage in the modern world, so he had to rely on this kid to survive. Make a prompt decision. Coward. Fear for a better tomorrow. Big brother Yi, my master told me to stay in the modern world and follow you. From now on, you will be my big brother. In terms of the ability to sail with the wind, if Lord Fatty claimed to be second, no one would dare to claim to be first. The sharp contrast left Yi Zichen dumbfounded. Did you just call me big brother? That's right. From now on, you're my big brother. In the future, I, your little brother, will follow your lead. I will die on the battlefield, and I will succeed on the battlefield. Go on, continue. Big brother, this little brother's level of education is limited. These are the only idioms I know. Third Fatty Jean lowered his head and smiled awkwardly. All right, you don't have to flatter me. I don't want to ask too much about what great Emperor Qingming wants to do. I see that you're rather pitiful. Since great Emperor Qingming told you to follow me, then I will naturally make you stay. Just one sentence, follow me, and you'll have a good life. That's for sure. Little brother believes in big brother's words. Third Fatty Jean truly considered himself to be a little brother. It was very hard to imagine that he was still calling Lord Fatty like that not long ago. Sit. Tell me what exactly rogue immortals do? Rogue immortals? That's a long story. Then, make it short. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. Third Fatty Jean quickly nodded with a smile when he felt the unfriendliness in his big brother's tone. All right, then I'll make it short. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. Even though it was a short story, Third Fatty still spoke for over an hour before answering all of Yi Zichen's questions. Rogue Immortals. It was a title that mortals obtained through cultivation to obtain celestial spiritual energy and become deities. It was pretty much the same as cultivators in novels. The land Yi Zichen was in was called the Modern Realm by the Rogue Immortals. There were relatively few immortals in the world. Only a few itinerant immortal clans would leave behind a few immortals to hold down the fort. The other rogue immortals would ascend to live in the rogue immortal domain. The ranks of loose immortals were easy to determine. False spirit, false earth immortal, false earth immortal, false heaven immortal, true immortal, immortal king. Their levels were further divided into 4 ranks: elementary, intermediate, advanced, and perfected. Moreover, the heavenly court, the underworld, and the itinerant immortals belonged to 3 major factions. These 3 major factions all had their own worshippers and families in the modern world. He thought of great Emperor Qingming, Taibai Jinxing, and those fellows from the underworld. It seemed like he was going to act as a triple agent in the future. An incomparable blockbuster. Mission Impossible was about to begin. As for the others, one sentence. It was useless. Why did he have to say that? Yi Zichen was just a mortal. He didn't have any secret scriptures left behind by the rogue immortal clans to cultivate. The Heavenly Court's treasure shop didn't seem to have any books about this. Secondly, Third Fatty Jean said that he was at the false spirit level, which was the first stage of the itinerant immortal level. However, he didn't know how he did it. It seemed like he ate a level 6 celestial pill from old Lord Taishang. Most importantly, he didn't want to be some itinerant immortal. He just wanted to earn money and live a good life in the modern world. At most, he would be more careful when he became a spy in the future and get more benefit. He didn't want to get involved in this mess. Big bro, Third Fatty Jean flashed in front of Yi Zichen a few times, then retracted his consciousness and smiled. Not bad, you explained it in rather detail. This is what little brother should do. Third Fatty Jean smiled like a grandson. Since Yi Zichen couldn't mistreat him, he took out his phone and prepared to get a greeting gift from the Heavenly Court's treasure shop. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Due to Yi Zichen being in a deep state of isolation for the past week, he had pretty much cut off all contact with the outside world, so he naturally didn't go on WeChat. As soon as he logged into WeChat, his phone almost shattered from the shock of the messages. Yi Zichen glanced at the messages. Yu Lao, Erling Shin, and Third Prince Neza all sent him messages. However, what caught his attention was Great Sage Sun's message. Monkey King. Bro, old son, caught a monster. Monkey King. Bro, old son, was screwed over by a bunch of idiot. Monkey King. Bro, old son, was captured by a person in blue. Monkey King. Bro, Yi Zichen's heart raced when he saw the message. I've been thinking about random things for the past week, and actually forgot about the Great Sage, the ticking time bomb. From the looks of it, something must have happened. Yi Zichen quickly replied, but it was like a stone sinking into the ocean, there was no response at all. Chapter 154. The Great Sage wants to slay a Yao Lin Xie, who had been a police officer for a year, faced an unforgettable case. A muscular man in a black tank top held a stick in his hand as he fiercely beat up a 25-year-old woman. During the interrogation, there was no emotional conflict between the two. It was the first time they had met. However, the muscular man kept on saying that he wanted to slay a Yao, and insisted on hitting the woman with his stick. This scene caused her to think back to when she watched Journey to the West, when Sun Wukong beat up the White Bone Demon 3 times. Of course, the most important thing was that the muscular man insisted that he was the victorious fighting Buddha, Sun Wukong. Does this person have a history of mental illness? Lin Xie held a gel pen with 2 fingers and continuously scratched her long hair. In front of him, the man who committed the crime was sitting obediently on a chair, looking around the interrogation room with a curious expression. Sun Wukong, do you have any relatives? I, old son, have tens of thousands of monkeys. Stop. Lin Xie was about to go crazy from being tormented by him. He kept on calling me, old son, and saying that he was beating up a Yao. He really did think that he was Sun Wukong. Some went crazy from gambling, some went crazy from stock prices, but this was the first time she had seen someone go crazy from watching Journey to the West. Tell me, what's your motive for beating up that woman? I, old son, told you 10,000 times, I want to slay a Yao. Lin Xie was speechless once again. Lin Xie let out a long sigh, then slammed the transcript onto the table. It seemed like the man in front of her could be determined to be a mental patient. Just leave him to the mental hospital. As for the victim, let her comfort her. Little girl, what are you going to do? Help me, old son, take off this thing on my hand. Seeing that Lin Xie was about to leave, the Great Sage shook the handcuffs on his hands. Great Sage, sit here for a moment. I'll be right back. Lin Xie patted the Great Sage's shoulder, then opened the door to the interrogation room. The moment she walked out, she saw Yi Zichen rush over with Third Fatty Jean. Yi Zichen, why did you come here? Lin Xie felt very strange towards Yi Zichen. Even if they were friends, she would get annoyed when she saw him sometimes. If they were strangers, their relationship would be more complicated than that. Yi Zichen licked his lips, then glanced into the interrogation room. I'm here to take the prisoner inside. Yi Zichen pointed at the Great Sage in the interrogation room. When the Great Sage heard Yi Zichen's voice, he immediately turned around. Brother, you know him? Lin Xie raised her eyebrows in shock. Is there something wrong with him? Did he talk nonsense to you? Yeah, he kept telling me that I, old son, still want to subdue demons. He knew that the Great Sage's arrival would definitely be troublesome. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly, then nodded noncommittally. Yes, he has indirect schizophrenia, and sometimes he wants to pretend to be Sun Wukong. Yes. I asked him what his name was, and he kept saying his name was Sun Wukong. Well, maybe his illness is acting up again. Yi Zichen let out a sigh. There was no more logical explanation in this sort of situation. All right, hurry up and let my friend go. I've already met with the victim, and we've decided to settle this privately. She should be here soon. No problem. Lin Xie nodded, then walked into the interrogation room and uncuffed the Great Sage. As soon as the Great Sage was freed, he ran to Yi Zichen's side and frowned. Brother, you're too slow. Also, this girl keeps stopping me from slaying demons. She really pisses me off. Yi Zichen nodded and smiled at Lin Xie, then dragged the Great Sage outside. However, at that moment the victim walked over with 2 policemen. Monster, take this. Yi Zichen immediately hugged the Great Sage's waist, then signaled towards Third Fatty Jean with his eyes. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and help. All right. I'll treat you to a meal when I have time. Third Fatty Jean and Yi Zichen grabbed the Great Sage's arm and the Great Sage's waist respectively. Only then did they manage to drag the great sage away from the interrogation room. Brother, why are you dragging this old son away? This old son is here to subdue demons. When they got in the car, the great sage continued to make a fuss about subduing demons. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. She's a living person, why did you say that she's a monster? How is she not a monster? The great sage cursed. This old son's fiery eyes of truth aren't to be trifled with. Her body is completely different from that face. If this isn't being possessed by a monster, then what is it, hee. Lu Jing, who was sitting beside the great sage, suddenly burst out laughing. The great sage glared at her like a monkey. The great sage glared at her. What are you laughing about? Yi Zichen was completely speechless. He understood what the great sage meant. The great sage wanted to say that the woman had plastic surgery. But isn't plastic surgery way too normal in this day and age? Great sage, you don't understand. These are all mortals, not deities who can change their appearance as they please. Face changing is one of the black technologies researched in this secret place. It can allow people to change their appearance to their liking. However, most people who change their faces are not confident in their own looks. So it's like that. Great Sage Sun nodded in understanding. Great Sage Sun nodded with a look of understanding. No wonder I, old Sun, didn't feel her Yao energy just now. Third Fatty Jean, who was driving, didn't even dare to breathe loudly. He was certain that the lord sitting in the back was Great Sage Sun, who wreaked havoc in the heavenly court back then. That was an existence on the same level as his esteemed master. I didn't think that Yi Zichen would actually know someone of this level. It seems like there's a reason why his master told me to follow him. Meanwhile, Yi Zichen, who sat in the back seat, pondered whether he should buy a building or not. There was no helping it. Great Sage Sun was definitely a factor of worry. If I don't keep him by my side, then he might cause more trouble. Yi Zichen couldn't help but frown when he opened WeChat. Yulao, Neza and company were a bit easier to deal with. They just came to me to get the goods, so I'll just send them when I have time to go to the supermarket. What annoyed him more were the friend requests on his friend list. After Han Xiangzi and Iron Crutchley, 4 more people appeared in Yi Zichen's friend request. Lu Dongbin, Lan Saiha, Elder Zhang Gua and Chao Guojiu. Wow, aside from Immortal Lady pretty much all of the 8 immortals came to him. The 8 immortals were truly a bit persistent. Yi Zichen frowned as he looked at the friend requests. At that moment, Monkey Bro, who sat in the back, poked his head out and took a glance. Isn't this the 8 immortals? Don't you need the 9-heart lotus root from the 8 immortals? That's not a bad way to put it. Yi Zichen licked his lips. He knew that he needed to ask the 8 immortals for the 9-heart lotus root. However, these people plus him, they came to fight, alright? He had already insulted Han Xiangzi a while ago, and now, a few more people appeared in his phone. Chapter 155. Mad Han Xiangzi. Yi Zichen licked his lips, then decided to add all of the 8 immortals as friends. Ding dong. Ding dong. Ding dong. The phones of the immortals in the 8 immortal abode rang one after another. They raised their eyebrows, put down what they were doing, and glanced at it. Heh, that great immortal added me. Lan Saiha put the basket aside and chuckled. Lu Dongbin also threw the immortal sword into the void. Add me too. He added me too. Add me too. The immortals in the 8 immortals manner spoke one after another, and not long after, everyone's gaze landed on Han Xiangzi. Old Han, then, before Lu Dongbin could finish his words, he saw that Han Xiangzi was already holding his phone tightly with red eyes. This week had been torturous for him. He had to vent the anger in his heart. Grandson, you dare to add Grandpa? The first thing Yi Zichen did, after accepting all of the 8 immortals' friend requests, was take a look at everyone's intimacy level. They were all friendly. Ding dong. At that moment, Yi Zichen received Han Xiangzi's message. He looked at the content, then glanced at the intimacy level. Indifference. I knew it. Yi Zichen laughed coldly. From the looks of it, Han Xiangzi was already pissed off. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said something like that despite his status. Why are you looking for Grandpa? Yi Zichen was definitely the kind of person who would be soft to you and hard to you. If Han Xiangzi wanted to fight with him, then so be it. Last time, Grandpa didn't even finish talking to you, and you left him hanging there. What do you mean? What else can I mean? Didn't I say I'm busy? I don't have time to deal with a nobody like you. A nobody! In the Eight Immortals manner, when Han Xiangzi saw this news, he was so angry that he almost swallowed his phone. He was one of the Eight Immortals, yet he was treated like a nobody. Look at this grandson's words. He doesn't even put us, the Eight Immortals, in his eyes. Han Xiangzi took the phone and showed it to his colleagues. Unexpectedly, no one responded to him. They were all busy with their own things and no one looked at him. Especially Iron Crutchley, his phone was smashed by Han Xiangzi, and now he was angry when he saw him. You guys are really loyal. Han Xiangzi gave his colleague a thumbs up and gritted his teeth. If you won't help me, I'll do it myself. Let's lay our cards on the table. You were the one who asked Yu Lao to look for Immortal Lady He, right? Yes, I did. What's wrong with that? Yi Zichen knew that Han Xiangzi definitely came to find him for that. However, in order to not worsen the situation, he added. But I didn't tell Yu Lao to find Immortal Lady He to chase after her. When Han Xiangzi saw the first half of Yi Zichen's words, he even respected him for being a man. But when he heard the latter part of the sentence, he immediately exploded. Asking Yu Lao to contact Immortal Lady He, if that wasn't courting her, then what was he doing? He hated people who said one thing in front of others and another behind their back. T. If you're not after He Xingu, then why are you looking for her? Great deity Han, it's fine if you like Immortal Lady He, but don't act like everyone in the heavenly court has to like her, okay? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly. Monkey Bro, who'd been watching from the side, chuckled. You want to pursue Immortal Lady He? Han Xiangzi will definitely not let you off. Who the hell wants to pursue her? Yi Zichen was speechless. It's fine if they don't understand me, but you should understand me, right? I'm looking for Immortal Lady He for that lotus root. It's useless to explain it to me, old Sunday. You have to explain it to Han Xiangzi. Then Great Sage, help me out? Old Sun scratched his face, then leaned back on the chair with a smile. Old Sun, can't care. Heartless. This monkey truly doesn't care about anything. He didn't even think about how much money I spent for him to come to Bingqing. He still doesn't care when it's time to use him. Yi Zichen glanced at Great Sage Sun, who was watching the show, then turned his gaze back to WeChat. What do you mean? Immortal Lady He is the #1 beauty in the heavenly court. There are a lot of people who like her? #1 beauty in the heavenly court. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. You gave it that title, right? I'm really curious, where did you put Chang-Yi when you said that? Where did the 7 fairies tell you to put her? Do you believe that if I take a screenshot of what you said and put it in the group, the Canopy Marshal will call the 4 saints of the North Pole to beat you to death? If I say that Immortal Lady He is the most beautiful, then she is the most beautiful. I feel like Immortal Lady He is just SOSO. He hadn't seen what Immortal Lady He looked like, but he didn't think that she could be that beautiful. If Immortal Lady He was truly so beautiful, then the heavenly court wouldn't always say that Chang-Yi was beautiful, but not mention how beautiful Immortal Lady He was. Are you saying that Immortal Lady He is ugly? You're crazy. It was clear that Han Xiangzi's love for Immortal Lady He had already reached a crazy level. To be honest, Yi Zichen rather admired him. It truly wasn't easy to like someone for so long. But even so, he couldn't be so unreasonable, right? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes, then deleted Han Xiangzi from his friend list. He really didn't want to continue chatting with this crazy man. You dare to scold me? When Han Xiangzi saw the message, he replied exasperatedly. Friend verification. Seeing that the message failed to be sent, Han Xiangzi immediately stood up and threw the phone onto the floor with his right hand. Pissing me off. Pissing me off. TCH, another one was destroyed. Chao Guojiu shook his head with a sigh as he looked at the phone that was practically in pieces on the floor. Phones were very rare in the Heavenly Court. Last time, when he broke Iron Crutch Li's phone, the 8 of them had to pool money together to buy him another one. Another one was broken. It seems like Han Xiangzi doesn't need to use a phone anymore. Old Han, I feel like you're too impulsive. Actually, Lan Saihe had seen his chat with Yi Zichen the entire time. He also saw Yi Zichen say that he didn't want to pursue Immortal Lady. I was impulsive. That grandson said Immortal Lady he was ugly. He didn't seem to have said that, right? Lan Saihe sighed helplessly. Everything is just your guess. It's wrong of you to try to guess his thoughts like that. Lan Saihe, do you treat me as a bro or not? Han Xiangzi glared at him. Lan Saihe shrugged bitterly, then walked to the side without saying anything else. This bro in front of him was crazy, there was nothing else he could say. Chao Guojiu saw Han Xiangzi's expression. After letting out a soft sigh, he glanced at Taoist Zhang Guo, who was opposite him. Old Zhang, chat with that great deity. Chat with how? Elder Zhang Guo stroked his beard. I wonder what that great deity's attitude is towards us 8 immortals. If we just go and find him, it might cause him to dislike us. That great deity wants the 9-heart lotus root. Old Han, you're thinking too much. Lu Dongbin, who had remained silent on the side, suddenly spoke up and handed the phone to Han Xiangzi. The moment Han Xiangzi smashed the phone, he immediately went to chat with Yi Zichen. 9-heart lotus root? Who wants the 9-heart lotus root? At that moment, Immortal Lady he walked in from outside. She couldn't help but frown as she looked at the shattered phone on the floor. Chapter 156. A treasured place. The great sage held Lihaha in his hand and looked around the supermarket. If he remembered correctly, the neatly arranged instant noodles and spicy gluten. Brother, is this the secret place you mentioned? Yi Zichen glanced at the great sage. To be honest, he had planned to have the great sage stay with Zhuge Kongming in the supermarket when they were on the car. But when he saw his green eyes, he suddenly changed his mind. If the great sage was here, he would definitely eat until he cried. Sort of. Yi Zichen nodded with a coy smile, then told the great sage to casually walk around the supermarket before finding Yu Lao. The main body is here. Sky Sovereign, where have you been these days? Yu Lao replied instantly. I've been out of stock for a few days. Sorry. I have been busy with other things recently. What goods do you want this time? Whoosh. Yu Lao sent a long list over. Yi Zichen glanced at it, then looked around the supermarket a few times before sending all of the items over. Ding dong. Yu Lao also sent the cultivation experience over. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows when he got 200,000 cultivation experience. He was one step closer to the secret manual. Immortal Sovereign, let's talk next time. Wait a minute. Yi Zichen quickly stopped him. Is there anything else, Immortal Venerable? In the Heavenly Court's Elder Yu's residence, Elder Yu's youngest son carried away the goods that had just entered while he looked at the news and frowned slightly. How's the situation with old Lord Taishang? Did you ask him for me? Hey, Immortal Supremacy, that old man is very stubborn. Yi Zichen could roughly guess what was going on when he saw the message. It seemed like old Lord Taishang held quite a grudge against him. Alright, go and sell your goods. After sending Yu Lao away, Yi Zichen replied to Third Prince Neza. It wasn't that someone wanted to buy from him, but that he was greedy and wanted to buy something delicious. Yi Zichen paid Neza another 10,000 times, then exited the basement of the supermarket. Zichen Ji, do you want to stock up? Just as he exited, Zhuge Kongming had already run over with a phone number for the stock. How did you know I was going to restock? Yi Zichen glanced over him cautiously. The deal with the Heavenly Court was his secret, so this little fellow shouldn't know. It's not like we can't do that. Look, Zhuge Kongming pointed forward. Yi Zichen looked over. More than half of the snacks on the 6 shelves of the supermarket were gone. She looked at the floor littered with snack bags and drink bottles, as well as the great sage who was happily eating on the floor. I knew it. The great sage walked over with a wry smile, then glanced up at Yi Zichen. Brother, your place is truly a treasure trove. Treasure your sister. This time, the great sage must have eaten at least 10,000 yuan. Great sage, The great sage still had a spicy strip in his mouth. He looked up with excitement in his eyes. It was clear that Yi Zichen's supermarket made him feel pretty good. Yi Zichen shook his head helplessly, then called Third Fatty Jean and Zhuge Kongming to clean up the trash in the supermarket. Great sage, is your stomach made of rubber? Don't you feel bloated after eating so much? What's there to support? I, old son, am in the heavenly court, blah blah blah. Thus, the great sage told them about his heroic deeds of causing havoc in the Immortality Peach Garden. In short, if he truly ate as much as he wanted, then the snacks in the supermarket wouldn't even be enough for him. Very good, very strong. Although Yi Zichen felt pained, so what? He couldn't get angry at the great sage. No matter what, the great sage did save his life, so he ate a bit. What's more, he didn't dare to say those useless bullshit to the great sage. What if I get beaten up? Yi Zichen rubbed his throbbing temples, then indicated towards Zhuge Kongming. Let's stock up. The great sage filled up the shelves and the missing goods on the floor. When the great sage saw that the shelves were full once again, the little monkey's eyes were filled with surprise and shock. After driving the delivery truck away, the great sage licked his lips and moved closer to the shelves. Stop right there. Seeing that the great sage was about to steal another bite, Yi Zichen reached out and grabbed the great sage. Stop eating. If you keep eating, then I can't afford it for you. Stingy. The great sage twitched his mouth, then wobbled a few steps forward. While Yi Zichen wasn't paying attention, he hooked his finger towards the snacks on the shelves. A large wave of snacks instantly flew towards him. The person that wants to stop me, old son, from stealing isn't even born yet. Yi Zichen ran out of the supermarket with a large pile of snacks, then sat down at the cashier counter with a look of helplessness. I shouldn't have brought him here. Big bro, is that Lord really the great sage? Third Fatty Jean gestured towards the outside of the supermarket. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. You think, why did the great sage come over here? You're asking me, but who am I supposed to ask? Yi Zichen replied speechlessly. At that moment, he was thinking about how to send the great sage back to the heavenly palace. It's not good to keep wandering around their territory. Third Fatty Jean shrunk his neck and walked to the side when he felt Yi Zichen's unfriendly tone, while muttering silently in his heart. What are you being cocky for? If it wasn't for Lord Fatty's celestial spiritual energy being sealed. Buzz, Yi Zichen's phone rang in his pocket. He took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. Wu Haoyu. That guy hadn't contacted him since the last gathering. Thinking back to their promise, if there were no surprises, then it should be their family's old man coming back. You truly don't call for no reason. Say it, did the old man come back? Brother Zichen truly has incredible foresight. Wu Haoyu's clear laughter sounded out from the phone. Wu Haoyu laughed heartily. The old man has indeed returned. I wonder if Brother Zichen has the time to help take a look? No problem, send me the address, I'll go over in a bit. After Yi Zichen hung up, he received a message from Wu Haoyu. Yi Zichen couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the address. The people who could stay at the address were all high-ranking officials. It seems like this Wu Haoyu isn't a normal person. Yi Zichen twisted his neck a few times, then put his phone back into his pocket and walked to the great sage's side with Third Fatty Jean. What? You want to steal the treasure from me, old son? Don't even think about it. Great Sage Sun protected the spirit stones even more tightly than he protected his own children. Yi Zichen sighed helplessly. I, old son, am not going anywhere. I, old son, am not going anywhere. This treasure land is not bad. I, old son, will stay here. Yi Zichen's expression instantly darkened. If I let you stay here, then I'll *king go bankrupt in less than half a month. You have to listen to this sovereign in this sovereign's territory. Great sage, just come with me. With that, Yi Zichen and Third Fatty Jean each grabbed one of his arms and pulled him into the car. The great sage wanted to struggle at the start, but not long later, a cunning smile surfaced on his face. I, old son, will go with you guys. Great Sage Sun followed Yi Zichen and Third Fatty Jean into the car without any resistance. Just as he was about to get into the car, a strand of monkey fur fell from his palm. Chapter 157. Lin family. He took a taxi to the agreed address. Great Sage Sun, don't talk nonsense later. Just stay here. Yi Zichen asked Great Sage Sun worriedly. He was really afraid that once he entered, Great Sage Sun would start calling him Old Sun and saying that he wanted to slay demons. Then he really couldn't take it. I, Old Sun, understand. I'll just keep quiet when the time comes. Great Sage Sun waved his hand like he didn't care. Yi Zichen repeatedly reminded him not to say anything, then led him towards the manor in front of them. What are you doing? The moment Yi Zichen entered, a man in security uniform walked towards him with a walkie-talkie in his hand. Wu Haoyu told me to come. Wu Haoyu? The security guard frowned and said, There's no one called Wu Haoyu here. Hurry up and go back to where you came from. Wow, even security guards are so arrogant now? Yi Zichen tilted his head and sneered at the security guard in front of him. Grandson, hurry up and *ck off. The security pointed his walkie-talkie at Yi Zichen's face and cursed. The Lin household isn't a place for you to act unreasonable. Lin family. The corners of his lips curled upwards. When Wu Haoyu had told him about his family's old master, he had thought it was the Wu family's old master. From the looks of it, that kid treated Lin Ru as his own family. She didn't expect him to look so simple and honest, but he was actually quite crafty. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. The security guard in front of him waved his hand impatiently to tell him to scram. I don't know Wu Haoyu, but you know Lin Ru, right? At the mention of Lin Ru, the security guard's expression changed. How could he not know Lin Ru? She was the eldest daughter of the Lin family. Looks like you know each other. I know Lin Ru. Let me in. You? The security guard sneered. You came to our Lin family in a taxi. You're dressed in cheap goods that cost less than 2,000 yuan, and you say you know our miss? Are you going to let me? The great sage was starting to get impatient. He scratched his face and glared at him. The great sage had transformed into one of the thugs at the Detian Manor back then, and his physique was definitely several levels lower than this security guard. The security guard subconsciously took a step back and glanced at them with a slightly gloomy look. Team A, Team B, someone is causing trouble at the front gate. Requesting backup. You really are a snob. Yi Zichen nodded with a sigh, then licked his lips with a smile. I thought I wanted to talk things over nicely, but you didn't appreciate it. Little bastard, I'll leave my words here. If you don't want to suffer, then scram. The security guard obviously had a bad temper. There was a reason why he dared to have such a temper. He didn't drive to the Lin family's house, and the clothes he was wearing were pathetically cheap. It was impossible for someone of this level to be acquainted with the Lin family. What kind of family was the Lin family? They were a big family that had connections in business, politics, and even the military. The people walking back and forth were all either rich or of high status. For someone like Yi Zichen, it was impossible for him to come into contact with the Lin family. Buzz, the phone in his pocket rang. Brother Zichen, you're not here yet? Wu Haoyu's tone was rather anxious. Yi Zichen glanced playfully at the little security guard in front of him. Don't worry, Wu Haoyu. I was stopped by the security. What? I'll go get you now. Not long after, two figures walked out of the manor. One of the figures seemed to be in a hurry, while the other seemed rather casual. Zichen. Wu Haoyu quickly ran over and glanced at the security guard next to him. You dare to stop anyone? You must be blind. Ha ha Haoyu, why are you so angry? Right at this moment, a teasing laughter sounded out. Yi Zichen looked up and saw a young man with a feminine face walk out of the manor. Second young master. The security guard hurriedly bowed. The young man nodded noncommittally. You can leave now. There's nothing for you to do here. Yes. The security guard humbly stepped aside. Wu Haoyu narrowed his eyes and cursed. Lin Lin, what is the meaning of this? That security guard spoke rudely to my friend and even stopped him from entering the door. Are you going to let him go just like that? Did our security do something wrong? Lin Lin sneered, then swept his gaze over Yi Zichen without hiding his disdain. Wu Haoyu, do you think our Lin family is a place that anyone can enter? Even the servants in our family are dressed better than this brat. Lin Lin smiled in disdain. Also, don't call him your friend. If it wasn't for my girlie wanting to date you, do you think that your Wu family can form a relationship with our Lin family with that bit of wealth? Anger surfaced on Wu Haoyu's honest face. He stared straight at Lin Lin and suppressed the anger in his heart. Yi Zichen is a Qigong master. Yi Zichen is a Qigong master. I called him over to treat old man Lin. Qigong master? Lin Lin glanced at Yi Zichen playfully. Him? Qigong master? Can you stop joking? I accept your good intentions on behalf of the Lin family, but there is still someone who can treat the old man's illness. The reason I came back to Bingqing this time is to treat the old man. Your friend should stand aside. Lin Wu Haoyu still wanted to speak, but Yi Zichen grabbed his shoulder and shook his head with a smile, then looked towards Lin Lin, who had a look of arrogance. Very good, very domineering. What? It seems like you're very displeased? Lin Lin smiled in disdain. Yi Zichen nodded. Of course I'm displeased when people look down on me like that. Then you're displeased, right? I like to see other people get beaten up. Lin Lin's words were completely merciless, and could even be said to have completely fallen out. Grandson, how the *CK are you talking to my boss like that? Do you believe that I'll slap you into the wall? Third Fatty Jean glared at Lin Lin and cursed. The great sage took a step forward and bared his teeth. Hey little fellow, Lin Lin grabbed the great sage, then raised his eyebrows in disdain. Why didn't you hire a better fighter? Why didn't you hire a better fighter? Me, what? And you, Fatty, say what you just said again. So what if I, Lord Fatty, just *King say it again, lousy? Stop it, Yi Zichen said softly. Yi Zichen said softly. Third Fatty Jean instantly pursed his lips and retreated. If it wasn't for the fact that it was a harmonious society, Yi Zichen really wanted to slap this grandson a few times. He truly was basking in the glory of his family. Otherwise, he would have been beaten to death a long time ago with his personality. At that moment, a small beetle stopped. Lin Ru jumped down from the car with a sun hat and ran to Wu Haoyu's side. Haoyu, did you come to find me? Oh, Su Yan's boyfriend, Yi Zichen, why are you here as well? Simon, don't just stand here, let's go in and play. Lin Ru had a very deep impression of Yi Zichen. Never mind, Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. He glanced at Lin Lin, who stood in front of him. A small fry like me shouldn't randomly enter your Lin family's gate. Goodbye. With that, Wu Haoyu also let go of Lin Ru's hand with a smile. Come on. Chapter 158. The world is truly small. Lin Ru looked at Lin Lin with a frown as she watched the group of people leave. Lin Lin, how did you piss off my friend? Your friend? Lin Lin smiled playfully. Lil Ru, I think you've gone stupid from living a normal person's life. Just what kind of people do you know? Idiot. Just wait to regret it. Lin Ru rolled her eyes at him and waved her hand as she walked into the manor. Zichen, don't get angry at Lin Lin. He grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, that's why his personality is like this. Wu Haoyu comforted softly. Yi Zichen picked up the cold drink on the table and shook his head with a smile. Didn't you grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth as well? Why don't you look the same? Human nature is like that, you don't need to explain so much for him. That's human nature. You don't have to explain so much for him. I'm not in the mood to deal with people like him. I'm different from him. Wu Haoyu shook his head with a smile. Let's not talk about him. I originally wanted you to take a look at old man Lin's body. He doesn't need it. Didn't he say it already? There's someone who can take a look, so don't worry. Yi Zichen patted Wu Haoyu's shoulders. Then, the phone in Yi Zichen's pocket rang. Deng Cheng. Why did this Gramps call me? Gramps. Deng Cheng, who was sitting in the office, stiffened when he heard the way Yi Zichen addressed him. He shook his head with a wry smile. Lil Yi, do you have time? That depends on what you want to do. I'll decide if I have time or not. Why are you always so wary of me? Deng Cheng smiled helplessly. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. There's no helping it. I just feel like you, Gramps, have too many thoughts. If I'm not more careful, then I'll have to count the money for you after you sell me. I'll be very sad if you're like this. Be sad if you want. Yi Zichen was truly speechless because of Deng Cheng. You're an old man with white hair, yet you're trying to act weak. What exactly do you want? Hurry up and say it, I'm busy. Alright, didn't I tell you to help me take a look last time? He just came back from the capital. How about we go over and take a look? Sure, then come over, I'll be right. Yi Zichen hung up after telling Deng Cheng the address. There was nothing he could do about it. He had indeed promised Ching Ching. If he went back on his word, it would seem like he had gone back on his word. Zichen, since you're busy, then I'll be leaving. Lin Ru just sent me a WeChat message and asked me to find her. Go, say hello to me and Lin Ru. After Wu Haoyu left the cold drink store, Yi Zichen stood under an umbrella outside the cold drink store and looked at the sky. About 20 minutes later, a black Mercedes-Benz stopped. Little Yi. Deng Cheng walked over with a kind smile. Yi Zichen glanced at the car he was driving. TSK. 760. Grandpa, this car is not bad. It seems that being a doctor for so long has not been in vain. Do you have a granddaughter or something? How about letting me be a live-in grandson-in-law? That way, I won't have to struggle for half my life. Actually, Yi Zichen just wanted to tease the old man. However, Deng Cheng was happy instead of getting angry. I do have a granddaughter. Do you want me to introduce you to? He glanced at Jing Cheng's happy old face speechlessly. There's something wrong with this plot. Yi Zichen was instantly defeated. He didn't reply, and just opened the car door with the great sage and third fatty Jean. This little fellow, Jing Cheng, pursed his lips and smiled. He was an old fox that had lived for so many years. How could he not tell that Yi Zichen was just teasing him? However, his answer just now was sincere. He acknowledged Yi Zichen's medical skills. He believed that even his medical knowledge was slightly inferior to Yi Zichen's. His family was a medical family, and his granddaughter was also studying medicine. If I can really introduce them, then it might be a good marriage. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, and planted a seed in Deng Cheng's heart. He thought about it. I have to introduce Yi Zichen to my granddaughter if I have the chance. Big bro, this road is so familiar. Third fatty Jean, who was sitting in the car, furrowed his brows as he looked outside. Lu Jing floated above the roof and nodded in agreement. Lu Jing also floated above the roof and nodded. It really is, I seem to have been here just now. Only then did Yi Zichen look out the window. The moment he looked up, his expression instantly darkened. Grandpa. F***ck, I've really been here before. If there were no accidents, Zheng Qing, that old man, would drive the car to the Lin family in a while. What is it? Deng Qing did not stop the car. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh speechlessly. Is the surname of the person you want me to treat him surnamed Lin? How did you know? Deng Qing was stunned. Hearing that, Yi Zichen instantly laughed speechlessly. This world is truly small. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled, then placed his hands behind his head without saying anything else. As expected, Deng Qing drove the car to the Lin household. They entered the Lin family manor without any obstructions. The moment the car stopped, a group of people stood outside to welcome them. Lin Hanben personally opened the car door for Elder Deng. It wasn't easy for someone of his status to do that. Elder Deng. His face carried a humble smile, while his wife, Zhao Shuangying, followed behind him. Then there was Lin, who was extremely cocky just now. Grandpa Deng. Lin greeted Elder Deng humbly and politely. Deng Qing nodded with a chuckle. He subconsciously looked towards the car and wondered why Yi Zichen still didn't get off. However, Lin Hanben made a please gesture. Elder Deng, please. Please what? The person in question hasn't even come out yet. Aren't you a bit too anxious? Elder Deng chuckled. Only then did Lin Hanben notice that there was someone else in the back seat. Elder Deng, the one treating old Lin this time isn't me. It's an expert I invited. With him here, old Lin's illness can definitely be cured. Lin Hanben was shocked. Elder Deng's reputation in the medical world was extremely great. He was known as one of the 6 great masters along with the 5 in the capital. Since even he had to call him an expert, then that person was definitely an incredible person. Thinking about his negligence just now, cold sweat dripped down Lin Hanben's forehead. Their family's old man was the pillar of the Lin family. If his actions just now caused this expert to be slightly displeased, Lin Hanben nodded towards Elder Deng with a smile, then respectfully ran to the back door of the car and stood there with his hands behind his back. Third Fatty Jean rubbed his hands. He loved this sort of pretentious scene the most. He had wanted to see Lin's expression since a long time ago. If it wasn't for Yi Zichen stopping him, he would have gotten off the car already. Boss, can we get off now? Yes, Yi Zichen nodded. Yi Zichen nodded. Third Fatty Jean instantly raised his head, then walked out of the car with a proud expression. Lin's expression instantly turned terrible the moment he saw Third Fatty Jean. Then, the great sage and Yi Zichen also got off the car, causing Lin's expression to turn even more terrible. Hanben, let me introduce you. The expert I mentioned is this little friend. Zoom. Chapter 159. Using Force? When Lin Hanben found out that Yi Zichen was that genius doctor, he was still shocked despite his shrewdness. There was no helping it, this genius doctor was truly too young. Mr. Yi. Director Lin. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. Is Mr. Yi a Western doctor? To be able to become the master that Elder Jing spoke of at such a young age, he could only be a Western doctor. Hanben, Lil Yi is a proper Chinese doctor. Chinese doctor. Lin Hanben was stunned once again, and was unable to even adjust his expression properly. Which of the people that could become the leading figures in the field of Chinese medicine weren't elders over 50 years old? Chinese medicine wasn't like other things. How could one achieve great things at a young age just by relying on talent? It required time and effort to become a master. So young, even if he had talent and studied Chinese medicine since a young age, Mr. Yi is a Chinese doctor? Although Lin Hanben knew that it was very impolite of him to ask like that, he still couldn't help but ask. Don't underestimate Lil Yi. His knowledge of Chinese medicine is even stronger than those old guys in the capital. You should have heard of the Su family's Su Qian situation, right? Lil Yi saved him. What? Lin Hanben exclaimed. The news of Su Qian coming back from the dead had spread far and wide in the capital. Who knew how many leading figures in the medical world wanted to meet the master that could bring the dead back to life? Lin Hanben also wanted to use his connections to obtain information about that master in order to save his family's old man. He didn't expect, Mr. Yi, sorry for the offense just now. Lin Hanben quickly bowed and apologized. Lin Lin, who stood on the side, turned even paler, while his body also started to tremble slightly. He offended someone he shouldn't have. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then walked past Lin Hanben and arrived beside Lin Lin. Young Master Lin. Young Master Yi. Lin Lin buried his head in his neck and didn't dare to meet Yi Zichen's gaze. Lin Hanben was stunned. He didn't think that Yi Zichen would ignore him and walk beside his son. From their conversation, it seemed like they knew each other. Young Master Yi knows my son? Not really. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled playfully. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled playfully. I, Yi Zichen, am just a small fry. The Lin family's relationship is beyond my reach. Even an idiot could tell that the relationship between Yi Zichen and Lin Lin was not good. Mr. Yi, Mr. Lin, you don't have to say any more. Yi Zichen raised his hand to stop Lin Hanben's words. Forgive me for not being able to treat old man Lin. With that, he walked out with Third Fatty Jean and the Great Sage. Third Fatty Jean even spat in Lin Lin's direction. What a snob. Mr. Yi, please wait. Lin Hanben quickly chased after him and said, If my son has offended Mr. Yi in any way, I will apologize to you on his behalf. However, our family's old man still has to rely on Mr. Yi. Impossible, Yi Zichen refused without hesitation. Let's find someone else. Mr. Yi. Lin Hanben's eyes suddenly darkened. He clapped his hands forcefully, and a dozen bodyguards dressed in black rushed over from the surroundings of the manor. Please treat our family's old man. Yi Zichen smiled mockingly as he looked at the bodyguards surrounding him. Director Lin, what is the meaning of this? As soon as he finished speaking, he glanced at the embarrassed Jing Qing next to him. Grandpa, this is the attitude of your friend's children. He had already angered her from the very start, but instead of trying to salvage the situation, he wanted to use force. Jing Cheng's face was filled with embarrassment. Lin Hanben took a step forward and said, This has nothing to do with Elder Jing. This is all my personal wish. Mr. Yi, I have no other choice. Please take a look at my family's old man. I will give you a satisfactory answer after this. I'm very dissatisfied now. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and glanced at the bodyguards surrounding them. Let's go. Stop them. Lin Hanben roared. Since the situation had already developed to this state, he had to keep Yi Zichen here, otherwise their old man would truly be beyond saving. Ridiculous. Yi Zichen shook his head and glanced at the Great Sage. Great Sage, since you've drunk so much of my waha, it's time for you to show off your skills. Hee, I, old son, have been itching for a long time. Go easy on him, don't kill him. I, old son, know what I'm doing. Before he finished speaking, Sun Dashing, who was wearing a black vest, stepped forward and grinned at the group of bodyguards. In the blink of an eye, several afterimages appeared around the Great Sage's body, as if they were his clones. Dong, dong, dong. A uniform sound rang out. When the afterimages merged into one, the bodyguards who blocked them were also sent flying like cannonballs. Too weak, too weak. Lin Hanben's entire face also turned green. These bodyguards were all retired soldiers that he had brought from the capital. All of them were experts that had experienced life and death. Come! Lin Hanben shouted. Not long later, another group of men in black appeared in front of Yi Zichen and company. Bang, 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 just like before, the Great Sage had beaten them to the ground without any effort at all. Come! Director Lin, stop calling people. Yi Zichen turned around and smiled. At that moment, Yi Zichen turned his head and smiled. Even if you call all of your family's bodyguards over, it would still be useless. Numbers are useless in the face of absolute strength. Lin Hanben lowered his head helplessly. Even if he didn't want to admit it, he had to. His bodyguards were no match for the fighter beside Yi Zichen. The Great Sage chuckled, then looked around with his tiger-like eyes, as if he was waiting for the next batch of fighters to attack. Yi Zichen walked over and patted his shoulder. Let's go. Let's go. There's no one left, the great sage frowned in disappointment. Too weak, too weak. These people can't even compare to the soldiers of Erlangshen's manor. Yi Zichen, who walked forward, nearly tripped over. Isn't that obvious? No matter what, the soldiers of Erlangshen's manor were heavenly soldiers. They were deities. How could mortals compare to them? Third Fatty Jean followed Yi Zichen out of the manor. When he walked in front of the bodyguards, he even stepped on them a few times. F***ck, you dare to bully my boss. If I, Lord Fatty, was at my peak. TSK. Third Fatty Jean spat towards Lin Hanben and company, then followed Yi Zichen out of the manor. Mr. Yi, Yi Zichen and company left the manor without looking back. Meanwhile, Lin Hanben's body trembled, then he fell to the ground. Han Ben. Old Jing hurriedly helped him up. Lin Hanben grabbed Jing Cheng's sleeves tightly and said, Elder Jing, please help me put in a good word in front of Mr. Yi. Difficult. Elder Jing shook his head and smiled bitterly. What you did just now could be said to be the stupidest thing you've ever done. I understand Xiao Ye's character. Forgive me for being powerless. Bang. Chapter 160. Daisies bloom forever for Yi Zichen stood in a duplex. He had called Su Yun a few hours ago and asked him to help him find a building near the school. He didn't expect Su Yun to find it so quickly. You're pretty fast. Do you think that this little lord would be slow? Su Yun smiled proudly. This building is about 5 minutes away from our school. It's a duplex, it's big enough, the lighting is pretty good, and it's well decorated. But what do you want this building for? Who are you going to live with? With that, Su Yun's expression turned serious. He knew that his little sister was dating Yi Zichen. You can't be thinking of hiding a mistress, right? Su Yun stood up from the sofa and stared straight at Yi Zichen. If you really dare to do that, then don't blame me for disregarding our brotherhood. Hide your sister. Yi Zichen cursed. Hide my sister? Su Yun exclaimed, then grabbed Yi Zichen's collar. You want to live with my little sister so early? Sure, but be nice to her. Live with your sister? Are you not going to live with my sister? Then who do you want to live with? Su Yun grabbed him once again. Yi Zichen shook his hand off. F***ck, I can't explain it to you. I'm not living with Su Yen, nor am I living with other girls. F***ck, why did you buy this building? And why are you in such a hurry? Those eyes of yours are for you to vent your anger on. Didn't you see those two heroes? Yi Zichen indicated towards Third Fatty Jean and the great sage in annoyance. He felt like it was his turn. Yi Zichen pouted towards Third Fatty Jean and the great sage in annoyance. He felt like it was his turn. Third Fatty Jean turned around and waved his hand, revealing his 8 teeth. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Su Yun didn't think that Yi Zichen was going to live with this fatty and the Hulk. All of a sudden, his gaze changed, then he hugged his arms and took 2 steps back. Yi Zi, I didn't think that you were like this, Yi Zichen. What about me? Fatty Hulk, you're really high class. Screw off, Lousy is a straight man. Su Yun rolled his eyes and laughed heartily. He had been Yi Zichen's roommate in university for 2 years. If Yi Zichen really was gay, then Yi Zichen, as his roommate, would have been able to tell a long time ago. He was just joking. Although he didn't know why Yi Zichen wanted to buy this building for the 2 brothers, it wasn't something he should care about. He reached out his right hand and raised his eyebrows at Yi Zichen. What? Pay up, why? Su Yun frowned. This building is 43 million. I'll round it off for you. Just give me 4 million. You want money? Why don't I want money? My money doesn't grow on trees. It's good enough that I didn't ask you for money when I opened the supermarket for you. Very good. This was the Su Yun he knew. Even $1 could be settled between brothers, let alone such a huge sum of money. I'll call you back later. All right, I'll be leaving then. I wish you and your companions a good time. With an ambiguous and playful smile, Su Yun left the room. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile and walked to the sofa in the living room. Third Fatty Jean quickly stood up and replied nervously. Boss, I'm definitely a fan of the opposite sex, but… Third Fatty Jean bit his lips, as if he was struggling in his heart. If boss truly needs it, then I can offer my most tender daisy. Yi Zichen, who was scrolling through his moments on the sofa, spat out the water he just drank onto Third Fatty Jean's legs. Feeling the wetness between his legs, Third Fatty Jean gulped down his saliva. Boss, could it be that you like wet seduction? F***ck off, F***ck off, F***ck off. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and glanced at him after he spat the fatty away. His intelligence is truly worrying. Boss, my daisy will forever bloom for you. Third Fatty Jean continued to shout about offering his daisy before Yi Zichen left. Yi Zichen's expression darkened. The great sage on the side looked up in confusion. Daisy, is it delicious? Slap. Why did I end up with these two living treasures? It seems like I have a long way to go in the future. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh, then laid down on the sofa and scrolled through his moments once again. It had clearly become something that he had to do every day. He was able to keep an eye on the situation of the heavenly court and the underworld from the deities' updates. Although he didn't have a lot of deity friends. But it was better than nothing. Yi Zichen scrolled through for a while, but didn't find any useful information. Only then did Yi Zichen log out, but saw a new friend request. Han Xiangzi sent you a friend request. This piece of trash. Yi Zichen ignored the friend request. Only then did he notice that his Adonis, Lu Dongbin, had left him a message. I told old Han already, he knows that he was wrong. You two can chat. Seeing this message, Yi Zichen licked his lips and accepted Han Xiangzi's friend request. He glanced at the intimacy level. Friendly. 100. Oh, it seems like old Lu is pretty amazing. He actually managed to convince this stubborn retard. Celestial Sovereign, sorry. The moment the friend request was accepted, Han Xiangzi immediately sent him an apology message. I was indeed too impulsive at the time. Everything was just my imagination running wild. If I angered Celestial Sovereign in any way, then please don't blame me. His attitude was rather sincere. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Never mind, I don't blame you. This sovereign's tone was indeed too forceful when I spoke to you. Then Celestial Sovereign replied to me. Han Xiangzi laughed loudly as he held Lu Dongbin's phone, while Lu Dongbin's eyes never left his phone. There was no helping it, Han Xiangzi was a phone destroyer. He couldn't help but be on guard. After replying to you, then apologize properly to him. Hurry up and return the phone to me after we start chatting. Esteemed master, you're too petty. So what if you give this phone to me? Han Xiangzi rolled his eyes while Lu Dongbin frowned. I can die. Old Han, don't even think about tricking old Lu's phone. He can't lose that phone. You haven't seen his WeChat. Who knows how many fairies in the heavenly court are calling him Big Brother Lu and Big Brother Dongbin every day. The reason why he keeps saying that he wants to return to the 8 immortal manor in the heavenly court is because of this. Chao Guojiu smiled playfully, causing Lu Dongbin's face to instantly turn red. Don't say random things. Esteemed master, oh esteemed master, you truly are deep on the inside. Han Xiangzi clicked his tongue and shook his head. Lu Dongbin rolled his eyes and cursed. Are you going to use the phone or not? Yes, yes, yes. Han Xiangzi replied to Yi Zichen after yelling a few times. It's best if Celestial Sovereign doesn't blame me. I heard that Celestial Sovereign wants the 9-heart lotus root? Bothump. Yi Zichen's heart skipped a beat when he saw this message. Yeah, I wonder if it's possible. Ding dong. The moment Yi Zichen sent the message, his phone buzzed. After exiting the chat, Yi Zichen saw a friend request. Chapter 161. 3-piece set of picking up girls, at the same time immortal lady, he added Yizichin as a friend. Han Xiangzi also sent a message. We just told immortal lady he and got her to add you as a friend. Thank you. No matter what unhappiness happened before, adding immortal lady he as a friend was the most important thing. Yizichin quickly accepted immortal lady he's friend request. Ding dong. A red packet was sent over before Yizichin even said anything. You received immortal lady he's red packet. Celestial grade 9 heart lotus root x1. Bothum. Yizichin's heart jump. I got it. Celestial grade 9 heart lotus root. Immortal lady he's meticulously cultivated it. It is a necessary item to create a celestial body. F***ck Yizichin could feel that this item was extraordinary just from the description. Immortal lady he thank you. Celestial sovereign is too courteous. Please forgive me if Han Xiangzi has offended you before. Only then did Yizichin see immortal lady he's profile picture. She was holding a huge lotus leaf as she stood on a green lotus. She gave off a classical aura. It was undeniable that immortal lady he was very beautiful. No worries, no worries. Yizichin was in a great mood after getting the 9-heart lotus root. Han Xiangzi had also sent another message. Celestial Sovereign, you received the 9-heart lotus root, right? I did. Thank you, Brother Han, for your help. Yizichin replied politely. Han Xiangzi of the 8 immortal manor sighed in his heart when he saw the message. What a great deity! He could only blame himself for being too impulsive and making the other party unhappy. Celestial Sovereign, I was truly impulsive just now. I hope you don't mind. No problem, Brother Han's friendship towards immortal lady, he is truly rare. It was indeed my fault just now. Telling you Lao to go and find immortal lady, he might cause misunderstandings. AI. Han Xiangzi sighed softly. Yizichin couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw the message. Why is Brother Han sighing? Celestial Sovereign doesn't know. Han Xiangzi shook his head. Everyone knows about my friendship towards immortal lady he. Before I became a deity, I had always pursued immortal lady he. However, in order to become an immortal, Fairy and I abandoned our 7 emotions and 6 desires, but I was too infatuated with her. Immortal Ant's immortal heart has not been moved, but I. Han Xiangzi was halfway through his sentence, but from reading between the lines, one could feel that even after becoming an immortal, he was still unable to treat immortal lady he with a normal heart. He had feelings for the other party, but there was nothing he could do about it. Everyone knew how it felt to have a crush on someone. His heart ached. Yizichin was definitely the type of person who liked to see lovers get married, so he couldn't bear to see Han Xiangzi so pitiful. After Brother Han became an immortal, did you express your feelings to Celestial Maiden he? How is that possible? Han Xiangzi shook his head and sighed. Ever since she became an immortal lady he's immortal heart had never wavered. He was also afraid that if he hastily expressed his feelings, not only would she reject him, but if they couldn't even be friends, then the gains would not make up for the losses. That won't do. If you like him, you have to fight for him, understand? Yizichin rolled his eyes. You like immortal lady he, and what you want the most is to become Tao companions with her. Are you willing to be friends forever? Then what can I do? Confess. Yizichin rolled his eyes. If you like her, then go and confess. At most, you will fail and can't even be friends, but at least you tried. Otherwise, if you keep it in, who knows what you're thinking? Maybe immortal lady he is just waiting for you to tell her. Han Xiangzi, who was in the 8 immortal manor, was slightly moved when he saw the news. To be honest, he had lived too hard for the past several thousand years. Instead of continuing to have a crush like this, he might as well break the paper window. Then I'll go and confess right now. Wait! Yizichin quickly stopped him. You can't go like this, you have to have someone to act as a foil. How? So King stupid. Do I have to teach him how to pick up girls? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes speechlessly, then frowned. Wait a moment for me. The moment he sent the message, Yi Zichen kicked third Fatty Jean, who was sitting on the sofa and looking at the sky. Big bro, go to the department store outside and buy some fireworks and red wine. Fireworks? Red wine? Yeah, hurry up. Third Fatty Jean nodded, then ran out after taking several thousand yuan from Yi Zichen. At the same time, Yi Zichen also took out his phone and called the florist. Hello, this is XXXX. I want to order 999 roses. The best scene to pick up girls' flowers, red wine, and fireworks. Yi Zichen had wanted to make a candlelight dinner or something, but he was afraid that Han Xiangzi's understanding ability was limited, so he didn't make it so high-end. However, since he already had the three main items, there shouldn't be too much of a problem. Approximately an hour later, the room was filled with flowers, while third Fatty Jean returned with 6 fireworks tubes and 2 bottles of red wine. Hey, what kind of treasures are these? The great sage skipped over, but Yi Zichen quickly stopped him. This monkey wanted to take a few bites of everything he saw. If he ate the fireworks like they were snacks, then I'll just light him when I set off the fireworks. His mouth was like a fireworks tube. Puff, puff, puff. Of course, that was just a thought. No matter what, he couldn't let the great sage take the risk. This isn't food, go back and sit. Stingy. The great sage muttered again. Yi Zichen acted like he didn't hear it, and scanned the flowers, red wine and fireworks in the room and sent them over. Along the way, he also gave Han Xiangzi a lighter. Han Xiangzi received your red packet. Celestial Sovereign, what is this? This is good stuff, it's necessary to pick up girls. It increases the success rate of picking up girls by 50%. Then, Yi Zichen told Han Xiangzi how to use these things once again. Celestial Sovereign, I don't know how to thank you. Han Xiangzi was also imagining that romantic scene in his mind. He even imagined the scene of him confessing to a mortal lady, and succeeding. Don't be happy too early, thank me if it's useful. Okay, Han Xiangzi, will never forget Celestial Sovereign's kindness. Ding dong. Your intimacy level with Han Xiangzi increased by 100. Current intimacy level, 200. Intimacy level leveled up. Current level, trusted. Yi Zichen didn't know why, but he felt like he lost out when he only got Han Xiangzi's intimacy level with a small investment of 10,000 yuan. Han Xiangzi was a flute player when he became a deity back then, but his master, Lu Dongbin, was rather fierce. Yi Zichen didn't know what benefits he could get from him. Yi Zichen opened the WeChat group and looked at the chat history. The moment Yi Zichen entered, he saw the God of Fortune telling the people in the group to spread their wealth. He hadn't snatched red packets in the group for a long time, although the God of Fortune's red packets were money, but 1 ingot was 10,000 yuan. Yi Zichen focused himself and prepared to snatch the red packet. Ding dong. A huge red packet appeared on the screen. Just as Yi Zichen was about to click on it, buzz, damn it,